Wax Wednesday.
Yo,
didn't-
yo.
We didn't stream last week, so this will be a double stream, I guess.
Yeah.
Not double stream, but 2 weeks worth of moves in the DeFi wallet.
Yeah, 2 weeks worth of Wax. There's been a decent amount of new shit on Wax. Like the USDC is probably like the biggest development.
Got my co-host here, Tito.
Oh, hello, Tito.
He's not saying much right now, but he's being extra cute. Yeah, I think Wolf Tap season's about to end too. That's Wax news if you're into.
I got a tap.
I still haven't. I didn't even
I
sign
think-
up for that, so not news for me, but news for people playing it. Cat is an airdrop tapping. That's not Wax news, but
Oh, that's true. How much did you get?
got like 30 something.
Have you claimed it yet, or have you gotten it back yet? I guess I should check it. It's probably been 3 days, right?
No, I haven't claimed it yet, but you. Yeah, it was like you had to wait 3 days to be able to claim it to a DeFi wallet from having it. Like you could only claim it to centralized exchanges originally, all of which I didn't have an account for. But now you can claim it to a DeFi wallet, so you should be able to, claim it and then trade it for TON, and then trade the TON to a centralized exchange that you actually are signed up for. If you're not signed up for the ones that only take Catizen. Oh my gosh, Cat's one.
Yes. Let me check. Probably inside my wallet.
You probably got more than me though, because I think it was largely based on spending and blockchain
Phishing?
transactions.
Oh, yeah. Let me check. I got...
I guess it depends on how many times you
Oh,
checked
there
it.
it
If
is.
you did that often.
Oh, no way. I got $134 worth. I got 178.
Nice. Yeah,
Time to
if you would have
sell.
checked in like every single day, I think you would have gotten like a metric shit ton.
Yeah, fuck. I
I
should
pretty much
have
didn't spend
been
on
more
it.
on it. I didn't think that was gonna be worth any of this, but let's see how much ton I got. 23 ton for that. Let's go. Good deal, dude. Swapping that shit. Actually, I guess I'll keep like 25 of the 178.
I definitely got more than I spent on the game, which is nice.
That's where I'm at too. I spent probably like $40 or something.
Spent like
Maybe 50 if I'm being real
$6.
because of the gas fees and stuff.
Hey, you didn't chill out, little cat. That's going crazy in there.
There we go. I just got 20 ton back for all that. That's
Cat,
fucking
he's
dope.
scratching my
Also-
shoulders on accident.
oh no.
He fucking tried to climb up from my back, but like missed a little bit and just like dug himself in to climb up. I was like, that's not how you do it, guy. I look like a
Yeah.
crazy cat guy with scratches on my arms and my shoulder.
Yeah, I noticed I have a few scratches too now. Cat
Poor
dad
grandpa.
scratches.
Funny because they're not like aggressive scratches. They're like because they love me so
Yeah.
much they want to climb on me and be on me. Scratches. Oh my god.
Yeah. Or they're like, I'm holding them, I'm doing stuff with them, and they like freak out because of some way I'm like, flipping them or something. They scratch.
Sit on my bed, kitty.
But, very cool. You love
I
to
think-
see it. Love to see these airdrops. I gotta say. Yeah, I bridged over some woof as well to the Ton chain, but haven't really
Seems like
messed with it.
They weren't really as
I'm
interested
getting ahead of
in,
the
like,
airdrop.
supporting Woof as much as they were like they just want to airdrop Woof on that blockchain and have a way for you to get it back to Wax. Honestly, it's probably a better strategy than being like, hey, we're gonna add a shit ton of liquidity here. Because then like it forces people, if you get a
Yeah.
lot, you have to come sell to Wax and you have to learn how Wax works. So if you're trying to onboard people to Wax, having all the liquidity
That's
be on
true.
Wax and then having the bridges exist, kinda like I don't know.
Also, probably not a bad idea to do it that way, versus just to give it to people already on Wax. Be like, yeah, give it to people on other chains to get traction. I don't know. I don't hate the Wolf like experiment. I'm not like aping into it more than I got airdropped for free, but I am enjoying the free side of it.
Yeah.
And it seems to have a positive like if
I haven't really checked in on the price lately, but doing that's wax. I think it's doing things, but full crypto market's up a bit since we last streamed.
Yeah. You could start by looking at the crypto market. The market's been on a tear the 2 weeks that we've been gone. Basically kicked off by the interest rate cut on FOMC day last Wednesday. When
Confirmed. If we stopped streaming, we'd be in a bull run forever.
Exactly. What a master AI A's?
Notorious AIZ. I don't know if it's A's or AIZ, but hello.
But yeah, looking at the market here, so we got last week, or I guess over a week ago at this point, the Federal Reserve announced that the interest rates are going to be cut by 0.5%. So 5 base, which is a pretty large cut, especially after over a year of increasing rates or just maintaining high rates. So first time that they're bringing it down by 0.5%, which is a big deal. The market's reacting to that kind of aggressively. The crypto market more than the stock market, kind of like rallying on that news. But looking at the Bitcoin market too, I have kept the lines up that we've drawn over the years here on our Bitcoin chart, and then one of them that is, we go back out to the weekly here, our old cup and handle pattern. If you think of Bitcoin with this big valley here being a giant cup, then months ago at this point we were looking at this already and suggesting maybe there could be a handle forming here, which a cup and handle is generally a bullish pattern. So we get a huge bear market forming into the handle of the cup and handle, and if we get a breakout from our handle pattern here, that would then send us into a bull run, targeting the cup and handle breakout target, the depth of the cup. So let's say we break out here, then that would be over the coming months sending Bitcoin to what is that, 200,000.
Just sort of one of the possibilities that you and Sid talked about a long time ago. I was like, yeah, we might be kind of bearish for a while, and then 2025 we're gonna really see.
Yeah. So that's like a run. That's like a long term. Because again, look at the cup. We're talking about from 2020, end of 2021, beginning of 2022, all the way to 2024 is what's forming the cup. So that's like a 2-year cup with what's almost turning into close to a whole year worth of a handle here, which would then also suggest a year to year and a half of a run upside of the next, before we break out. So that would be the potential bull market scenario being a cup and handle breakout. We'll have to obviously keep watching that and see if it actually does break out. This is the weekly chart. We haven't talked about this pattern in months because it's a pattern that takes a long fucking time to play out. And we still don't have anything other than, the pattern is sticking to what the cup and handle was. So we were able to kind of draw lines like this, months ago and be like, this would be kind of like what a handle here looks like. And then even though the market's been volatile, the trading volatility is taking place inside of the predicted channel here, which, that channel being that handle for the cup and handle pattern. But I think that's interesting. So we're still watching that. Bitcoin is, if we kind of hide some of our lines now. Other than that, Bitcoin in the last 2 weeks, nice run up again. You can see if we're looking at let's go to the daily chart now. If we're looking at the way that the market's kind of been pulling back since the top of that kind of bull run, top of the cup here, we have been getting peaks that are lower highs followed by lower lows pretty consistently, since the all-time high. And you can see that trend hasn't been broken yet. Although, the low here, the last wick didn't make a lower low, but the body of these candles, I'd still call this this is still generally lower low. Although now we're not, making a lower high. Now we're basically matching the previous kind of breakout high here. This, however, is just a deviation. This wasn't like a whole breakout, like a high-low pattern. See how short-lived this was? It's just like a 1 day up, 1 day down again, or I guess course of like 5 days thing, versus this being like several weeks of like the larger scale patterns here. So this is still, to make an equal low or an equal top would still have to come up to here, or be higher than this, higher. So right now, Bitcoin has been, nice and bullish for the last couple weeks here, and is coming up on, a pretty important kind of like resistance level, pretty significant resistance for it to basically to bust through and start making higher high and start signaling a reversal in the, pretty steady downtrend. We can also look at ETH to kind of get a more exaggerated version, but you still kind of see, lower highs, lower lows being the trend consistently, and with this also much clearer, clearer seeing that the last low was still a lower low than Bitcoin, and Ethereum tends to kind of act as a delta to this action. It's like a more amplified version of it. So if we're seeing like here where Bitcoin's like, these lower lows, I'm not sure. This looks like it's starting to like go flat. If we're looking at the range, then I can get a sense of that same time. Ethereum is looking more clearly bearish, so I can help to extrapolate a little bit more of a sentiment from the combination of both charts. But Bitcoin is basically staying in the long-term trend that we've been looking at for months and months, that channel chopping around. It's also coming up on, we're also coming up on, not just it, we are as a like market coming up on some pretty big closing times here. So if we look at like the monthly chart, the monthly close is coming up. Count happening here. So the monthly close is 2 days here. So when we get a monthly candle close, that tends to like the monthly chart, informs the longer time frames. So when you get a candle close on the monthly chart, the the kind of like lock of the center on the longer time frames happens. So once this candle closes, and once we get once we get a more clear direction here with Bitcoin, like I said, it's still very much lower highs, lower lows. We haven't really gotten a big breakout. If we are looking at the more daily chart here, this is like this price action is great, and it's a pretty decent run up too. So if you bought the bottom here, you did relatively well, but it's also, this bottom isn't telling me, hey, it's time to buy because it's flipping. It is though the early stage of showing signs of this, potentially flipping around. And then what I want to see is a breakout of that channel. So kind of like at this point, it's just making a higher high than the previous high.
I think your mic's doing that thing where the gate is cutting you off again.
Let me lower the gate. Setting voice and video. Here it is. Okay. Let me move it here. That should be better. Okay. So, sorry about that. So, what we're looking for is basically a higher high than this previous high for us to confirm that we are breaking out. And so you can see, those daily closes would, in order to make a higher high, would have to be above our channel. So then that would kind of help us, see a breakout here. And of course, this channel is part of a weekly trend. This is the cup and handle pattern on the weekly chart. So I want to see that confirmation not just on the daily candles closing above, but I want to see full weeks closing above here before I am, basically confirmed on the weekly pattern that we're getting that long. Of course, on the daily chart, we can start scaling in. And then once we get the weekly confirmation, then it's like, okay, we have a clear sign that a bull market is coming back into swing. For now, we don't have that. For now, we want to wait for the monthly close to happen. We want to see the market pick a direction and kind of like make our decisions based on the chart more than like anticipating what we hope will happen or what we think will happen. But what we're seeing happen is basically the same, chop moving downward right now. So at the moment, if we are going to ignore the super long-term trend, then just look at the week. You can see we have come back a bit into the like mid-range of the strength index. So we're not overbought. We're not really oversold. We're kind of cruising. So I guess no real pressure pushing us up or down in the strength index side of things. And then you can see we've been closing weeks for multiple, like a month and a half now below our strength band here. And we still haven't been able to push above and close above it yet to flip that. So still looking a little bit on the bearish end of this spectrum and looking for it to, push above. We're almost there. Push above, what is that, 30 or 60, 65 or something, 64.50, and like start closing full days above there again. Basically, again, trying to get a bit of a higher high than at least that previous deviation, which you can see here. Again, 1 and 1 definitely kind of shows us this isn't the same as like one of these rounded tops and bottoms.
You want it to close above that on Sunday, right, for the weekly?
Yeah, well, having a candle, like multiple day closes above that last price. So if we're going back to the daily chart, you can see, the last kind of top here. If we start closing full days above this top, that's starting to turn us more on the bullish side of the weekly strength band there, and is giving us more confidence again that the market is going to continue to rally. Whereas right now, there isn't really a huge reason to be like, okay, time to ape in long, because this is still looking like, we're going up down in a fashion of higher or lower highs and lower lows. And so this could just be the next in a line of, lower highs followed again by a lower low and continuing that, chopping up and down within the handle of our cup and handle pattern there. So until we basically get a break out of that channel, the expectation is for it to, be rejected here and start pushing down. And on the daily chart, you can also see we are very much on the overbought side of the spectrum now. And while the weekly chart doesn't really give us any indication that it has, pressure going one way or the other, the daily chart, as well as like the 4-hour chart, no, these are kind of opposites now. The 4-hour chart wants to actually bounce here. You can see also like, closing below a little bit. So this is kind of doing a similar thing that we were seeing on the weekly. So you'll kind of see this play out, on a faster time frame. The 4-hour chart's about as close as you'd want to get though, based on what we're looking at. But you can see like the daily chart has been overbought for a little while, has been failing to make higher highs, even higher highs than the previous deviation here. And wants to basically cool off on its RSI, which we could then see it pull back to our daily support, our strength band here. And if that pullback finds support there, after having cooled off on that pullback, then you'd get a bounce and then potential for making a higher high again, which would then maybe show us, hey, we're actually getting a higher low. So then the higher low is kind of leading the signaling here for our trend reversal. So right now, definitely, encountering some resistance, probably going to pull back a bit on the daily, and then, hopefully bounce and pull higher if we're going to get our more bullish action. I think looking at the macroeconomic picture with interest rates being cut, with Chinese government issuing stimulus packages to their citizens, and with general, money getting cheaper again.
Why are they getting stimulus packages?
The Chinese government is like sending out a bunch of money to like their citizens because they're trying to like bootstrap their economy to make their money more attractive for international exchanges. So like they want to, like, basically most of the international business in the entire world is done in dollars, and that's been changing like pretty quickly over the last like 5 years, especially because the oil international like oil agreement where everyone who buys oil in the entire world buys it in dollars now no longer requires the settlement to happen in dollars. And so for the first time ever, there's like Chinese currency or Russian currency or Saudi Arabian currency being used to buy oil on an international level. And the Chinese government wants their currency to be more attractive for international commerce and wants to issue a stimulus package to their citizens to make their, economy boom.
How does giving out more money make your
basically,
money stronger? Wouldn't it be more like inflation?
Because you give it to your citizens just give it right fucking back to you. Like, people spend their money. Like, corporations and governments, like tax cuts and shit, that'll make your money inflate a lot worse. Because those like big companies will just then pocket all that money and put it into like their own stock, basically, portfolio. So like the people who hold shares will make money. But if you just give money to everybody, most of those people go out and like, you give people $100, the vast majority of people will spend $120. So
Doesn't that also
like, by
go to big companies
giving
though?
people money, it's like, well, like the stimulus like package includes like stimulus checks to citizens, which is like a big thing where, like, a lot of those citizens might buy bitcoins with their stimulus money, is like the speculative thing. So it's like it gives people disposable money, which is really, really positive for just the economy and for, especially speculative assets. So seeing that coupled with, interest rates being cut and stuff, I do see a pretty decent bull case on the macro scale for Bitcoin, which is why I would expect us to pull back and then find support and bounce on the daily, confirming a higher low and giving us a good, like, entry point into maybe re-entering the market before this huge bull run potentially materializes.
I wish America did stimulus
But we'll
checks
watch.
again. That was fun.
Right?
Money
It's
for
great because like
nothing.
it's such a good way to stimulate the economy, because when you give people money, they spend the money. Like, most of the $600 was spent within the first like 2 months of those checks going out. Like,
Yeah, I think I bought some Funko packs with those.
yeah, exactly. Like, people spend it on, and then the thing is that, Funko, the company that is struggling because the whole world shut down and no one's working, suddenly gets a shit ton of sales because a bunch of people stuck at home with burnable money from the government are buying Funkos again. So it like stimulates the economy really, like, effectively. The only like downside is that um I think people get upset when like somebody who doesn't work as hard as them, or they perceive as less like worthy of free money, gets free money, and then they're like, somehow this
But everybody got the
affects
same
me,
amount, so
and they're
it's like,
upset about it. Yeah, but somehow they're like, that pisses people off. Like, I've seen so many people who are like, why should so and so get that? It's just like, who gives a fuck? But
I don't know.
I
Like,
don't
our
know.
government spends money funding foreign wars. How about give it to the people in your own country? Like, that seems like a better use to me.
Yeah, the U.S. definitely gives the money to the wrong people. I totally agree with that, Moko Twitcher. I mean, that whole concept too of like trickle down economics is insane. Where it's like, oh, we'll just give a rich person, give that person money, because then they'll use that money to create jobs, which is like, they already have money to create jobs. Like, what? Like, I don't know. It doesn't trickle
Rich
down
people
ever
didn't
work
get
to
rich by
kind of.
giving their money away. That's
Yeah,
basic logic tells you
and
that.
and the whole thing is also like, there's a portion of like wealth that's held by, investing firms and like people like Warren Buffett, for example, who, like, it's not that he needs $400 billion or whatever the fuck his like portfolio is worth. It's like, at some point, it's like about the scoreboard. So, it's like he can't give money to charity because scoreboard. Like, he's got to be the winner of the game because that's what he devoted his life to,
You got to beat
So it's
Bezos.
like, I guess, yeah. So it's like you have these people just like in this pissing contest, and the fallout is everybody who isn't, winning is losing, which kind of sucks. But yeah, that's kind of the breaks. But either way, looking at Bitcoin, it looks like we are still, chopping around a bit, but we are getting early signs of maybe a bottom, for especially like a local short-term bottom. So maybe right around here, this price action, we could have seen a bottom in Bitcoin, and that would basically be confirmed by a pullback with a bounce and a higher low. followed by a higher high. So on this higher low pullback, hopefully next week when we check the charts, that's what we're going to see, and that'll give us confidence to shift any sort of exposure we still want to shift towards crypto into crypto versus sitting in stable coins or non-exposed assets.
I would be pretty stoked if that was the bottom and we're back to bull. I've had enough of this bear crap.
Yeah,
not into it.
It also would, if we do end up getting that pull, like that would kind of give us a pretty firm like take profit target at like $220,000 per Bitcoin, which is a shit ton of money.
That's a significant way up from here too, so that'd be good for the whole market.
Yeah, that's like actual profit still. Oh, and then like also in the macro picture I was talking about, like there's more interest also from the institutional side, with the SEC recently approving option trading on Ethereum and Bitcoin spot ETFs. So to break down that sentence to people who maybe aren't quite as deep into finance, what that means is you'll be able to trade, multiples of 100, like basically futures contracts on Bitcoin and Ethereum from your stockbroker account or from Robinhood, and it'll all be very accessible to basically anybody, including institutional money, like what's that called, IRA account holders, and the like. So it makes Bitcoin futures trading, meaning you can go short Bitcoin as well.
But that's just for the ETFs, right? Because you could already trade. I mean, you can go on a centralized exchange and short and long Bitcoin already. So that's just for like the institutional money.
That's correct. It's for the ETF specifically. So the ETFs will be leveraged or will be like available as options contracts, and that just creates more demand for the ETFs, honestly.
Even though
because
that's
what
good
happens is
for Bitcoin, I feel like that shouldn't be like. I feel like the whole point of ETFs is it's supposed to be like a super safe, secure way for like put your 401k. Like I feel like you shouldn't be gambling on futures with people's 401ks. So I don't think that needs to exist personally, but if it's good for the market, I guess like I'll benefit from the repercussions of it.
Well, so the basically what it is a derivative asset. It's like another layer of market. It's like a new market on top of the existing ETF market. So the ETF market and its sanctity and security doesn't change at all. What changes is a brand new market gets created where people can now bet on the price of this ETF market. It doesn't actually directly, like owning an option most of the time doesn't directly equal to owning the shares of the underlying option. It's just the option to buy or sell those shares, not actually.
I guess my thing is I don't think the people who are handling the money should have that option, because the whole point of that is supposed to be like a lower risk. Although they're probably not. It's probably degens betting on the people who are holding the money in the more secure way. But still, just putting the option there, I feel like is dangerous for people who don't manage their own money.
So what I like about it is even it makes it possible to take an asset like Bitcoin and generate like yield from it without actually like exposing your Bitcoin to anything other than Bitcoin. And so like given a quick example of how you would do this would be I'm just going to use big round numbers here, so it'll be kind of like you could do the same thing, with like a fraction of the amount I'm saying, but because 1 Bitcoin is easier to say than like 0.0001, I'm just gonna say 1 Bitcoin. So say you take 1 Bitcoin worth of dollars and you buy 1 Bitcoin worth of the Bitcoin ETF, which let's just for simple math say that 1,000 shares of the ETF equals 1 Bitcoin, right? Just for like, I don't know what the actual conversion is, just for fuck's sake right now. And so now with my 1,000 shares of ETF, I effectively have 1 Bitcoin worth of market exposure. So as the price of Bitcoin changes, my 1,000 shares of the Bitcoin ETF change, in line with that Bitcoin price. But what I can do now, instead of only sitting on my Bitcoin, I can take my 1,000 ETF shares and I can use them to cover 10 option contracts. Each contract is worth 100 shares. And so 10,000 shares, all my shares I can put up into 10 contracts. And I could say right now, the price of Bitcoin, again, for very easy math, the price of Bitcoin is $100,000 per Bitcoin. and I have 1,000 shares. So each one of my share is worth $100. And what I can do now is sell, 5 or 10,000. Yeah, so 10. I can sell 10 contracts, option contracts. We'll do put options. No, I'm sorry, call options. So basically, I'll sell 10 call options on Bitcoin, and I can put in whatever price I want. So let's say, like I said, Bitcoin right now is worth $100,000 per coin. I've put $100,000 into this Bitcoin investment because I think it's worth it. But let's say if it goes to $200,000, I want to sell this shit. I have some exit price. So what I can do now, instead of just sitting on my Bitcoin and waiting, I can take my ETF shares and sell a call option contract with a strike price of $200,000, so that whoever buys the contract and owns the contract would be able to basically sell or buy my Bitcoins, my 1,000 shares of Bitcoin ETF for $200,000 value of Bitcoin. And that contract, I'll say, it will expire in 1 month. And now I can sell that contract to whoever the fuck's buying. It'll be at a premium, so someone's going to pay me, maybe $50 for that contract. And then 1 month later, when the price of Bitcoin goes up to, let's say, $130,000 over the course of the month, it never hit 200, but it's 130 now. Okay, well, the contract expired. It's only 130, not 200, so it expired worthless. I get all of my Bitcoin ETF shares back, as well as I get to keep the $50 that the person who bought the contract for it, sold, or bought it from me for. So, and then what I can do is sell it again for the next week. But this week I'm going to set the call option strike price at $250,000. And so every month I can adjust my sell target for my, Bitcoin holdings while selling off the additional upside of that sell target, meaning that if, the price of Bitcoin actually did hit $250,000 in the following month, and then let's say it went to 260,000, well, at 250,000 I would have sold. So my option would have executed and I would have lost my, ETF shares, and I would have collected $250,000 for them, which is okay because that's where I wanted to sell anyway. But if that price never hits in the definition of my time frame here, in the 1 month intervals that I'm doing this at, or I could do this in 3 month or 6 month, whatever. I could do this in multiple year intervals, however busy you want to be. But either way, by doing that now, I can earn the premium that people are paying for those option contracts, and almost certainly they expire worthless. But I keep my Bitcoins and the premium by these assets having derivatives like this. And so there's much more complicated versions of this strategy, but that's what creates demand on an institutional level for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs when there exists options contract market. So now that the options become a thing, market makers are going to buy more of this ETF shares so that they can use it to, put up as counterpart to sell those option contracts. And so now there's additional reason to hold it, and that reason is you can earn a yield by selling the upside potential of your assets, in the same way that you can also earn a yield by placing limit orders to buy Bitcoin. Like, let's say, looking at the Bitcoin price, I think it's going to not drop to I don't know, 55,000 or something, So what I could do is I could take my $100,000 that I have in cash and sell a put option at $55,000, and basically collect money from people who are buying that put option until the price of Bitcoin actually falls to hits my strike price, at which point I just buy Bitcoin. So I would then get my my Bitcoin order filled, but the entire time the order doesn't fill, I could compound those funding fees and those option premiums. And so
I still think, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't have practical uses, but just at face value, it's just a bunch of nonsense. You're fucking gambling on IOUs, just
yeah,
that's nonsense.
So on the trader side of what I was just describing, what you're buying is for $50, you're buying 10 contracts which are worth 1,000 shares of this Bitcoin ETF or 1 Bitcoin at $200,000 strike price that expires in a month. And so what that means to you is you just spent $50 on this, and if the price of Bitcoin next month is actually at $300,000, you made $100,000 off of your $50, because At $200,000, the option is in the money, and that first 200,000 goes to the person you bought it from. But beyond 200,000, anything beyond that, that's your profit. And so anywhere that price goes within the like time frame that the option is still valid, you could effectively have infinite upside for $50, you know, and that's why someone might buy that option, even though it's very unlikely to actually hit that price. And more realistically, what people are doing is they're selling, you know, the downside and buying the upside at the same time to like protect themselves. So it's, you know, no one's just betting all the way on. Well, that's not true. A lot of people are just swinging, being crazy degens and betting just on one side. But there's reasons to use options, like if you buy a bunch of Bitcoin, you might also want to, you know, buy a put option, or buy a call option. I mean, or something, you know, something like to counter your like position in case Bitcoin takes a huge shit. Well, at least the put option will be in the money, and you'll make money on the downside of the put option. And it's basically like buying insurance, you know, like you could think of it that way, where it's like, hey, if I have $1 million in Bitcoin, I might be okay with spending $1,000 like to $10,000 a year on buying put options that are deep out of the money, just in case Bitcoin has a traumatic dropping event, so that at like some point I stop losing money. And you know, mostly though that might never ever happen, and you could spend years and years and years spending thousands of dollars on out of the money trash options that never print, but the whole time you've hedged your actual position. So there's a lot of like real reasons to do it, but yeah, what most people are doing, especially on the retail level, is gambling. And hey, that's also cool. It's more easy to gamble now. The other thing I wanted to look at is Wax. Wax has been kind of pumping nicely here, and we got on the daily chart here. You can see we got our buy print and a green band flip again, and we've actually made a higher high. So you can see we had been kind of like discovering. Let's also like turn on our zones again. We had been kind of in a price discovery mode below this purple line, which was kind of like the floor of our Wax bear market, around 4 cents. And once we lost that, it had been chopping around and you know, doing lower highs, lower lows, and like, you know, not looking very hot. And again, this week, in the last few days, actually starting to see a higher high, like definitively higher, with that like candle breakout. So we're basically fighting now to stay above this previous like breakout. And what we really need is to push back above 4 cents, where we'll be back in our old range, which is, you know, an enormous range. But at least we'll be out of this, you know, bear market floor deviation where we fell below the kind of long-term 4 cent floor target for Wax. So Wax not looking as gloomy as it had in the past, you know, months and months. We've only, like, you can see the chart right now, it's only been lower highs, lower lows, all the way down up until boom, a little glimmer of hope is appearing on the end of this chart. So that's nice. It's very early, so let's not like make any crazy assumptions on this, but it is nice to see. The other thing I want to see is also that the price of Wax, I think, in terms of Bitcoin and in terms of ETH, has changed. I wonder if I can see like Wax P Bitcoin here. Yeah, see, similarly with that, you can see that in recent history, we have a higher low here on the daily chart in terms of Wax and Bitcoin, and then after the higher low, we've made a higher high as well. So Wax starting, also by the way, printing bullish and flipping to green for the first time in a long time. So starting to show the early signs of a trend reversal in terms of Bitcoin. Means that, you know, if Bitcoin keeps pumping and Wax keeps this trend up, then Wax pumps harder than Bitcoin on the way up. Which we'll see. Very early to say, but exciting to finally see some green on these charts. With all that said, let's should we do a giveaway before we rebalance our DeFi positions a little? Yeah, I think let's. Thanks for listening to my poorly like expressed options and why it's interesting that ETFs are getting options.
I still think it's a bunch of nonsense. Like, I understand you can make money with it and there is actual utility of it, but just the concept of it is nonsense. And it's like it's like so much money that doesn't exist making money. But
oh yeah,
I mean, that's
the
finance
craziest
stuff.
part to me, where it's like, if you look at the value of the derivative markets as a whole, which derivatives markets just being any kind of market that exists in order to bet on a different market, like options or like futures or all that stuff, where it's like, oh, you're not buying Bitcoin, you're not buying shares of Apple, you're buying a prediction on a price of the future, like at a future point in time. You know, it's like you're not buying anything real, you're just buying nonsense.
Yeah, and I mean,
But the
stocks to
value,
begin with are already pretty speculative. Like GameStop was failing
yeah,
hard, and just because a bunch of people fucking bought it, they pumped it. So it's like you're buying like a made up thing of a made up thing, and that's what I don't like about it.
yeah. And that was the thing where it's like with the Bitcoin stuff, it's like, or with the GameStop stuff, it's basically like the people who have the GameStop shares that are selling those option contracts basically had sold more option contracts than they had shares available to cover them. And when the bill came due, they had to basically buy the shares off the market. And at that point, the only people who had the shares were retail investors who were like, fuck you, I'm not selling. And that's what caused the market to just explode.
I actually kind of like that though, because that's people
I do
boning
too.
the finance bros, which I'm for. But yeah, I still think the whole thing is kind of nonsense. Also,
The nonsense
if
part
you
is
typed it
definitely.
earlier,
Oh, go on.
exclamation point neon, we're about to do a giveaway. I did not have the form open until right now, so this is your last call. I'm gonna grab a drink. Right back.
Yeah. I was also gonna say that like with Bitcoin ETFs getting option contracts, there's also now like the potential for similar weird activity where a option clearinghouse or an option issuer could potentially sell, you know, call or put options on Bitcoin that aren't physically collateralized by actual Bitcoin or by actual Bitcoin ETFs, which is a practice that is ongoing and allowed in traditional stock market assets called naked short selling. And so that I think is a negative when it comes to these assets existing on the stock exchange, because that creates a potential ability to sell Bitcoins that don't actually exist, which is what made the price of GameStop fall to the dirt that it was in before it pumped to the moon in the first place. It's because like 140% of the GameStop shares had already been sold, which is like, how are you going to sell 40% more of these shares than actually exist? You know, which is what got everybody paid who ended up just holding the shares.
How's the wolf price doing? Since we're about to give away some wolf.
Oh yeah, let's see. Woof. Well, 1 billion woof right now is going for 53 cents. Or how much is that in wax?
I feel like that's like it hasn't really gone up that much since our last stream.
Yeah.
I think it's at like 40 something cents.
It recovered a bit and is now chilling here. It's about 15 wax.
Final 3. Final 2. Issues versus Forest Slayer. Oh!
Go for the tail. Oh. Hey, with the tail. Rigged.
Alright, Forest Slayer. You are the winner.
GG.
No wallet ID for this user. Important announcement regarding the IBC.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in a second too, especially the part about the USDC there, or USDT, because USDT from Alcor is going to be unwound. I'll talk about that in just a second once Lewis sends his stuff here, because there was some cool wax.
Oh, his wallet is just Forest Slayer, the exact name. That makes it easy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there was some cool wax developments. I think like we had a new backing for USD stablecoins on Wax. So now we got a Wax USDC, which is rooted in Solana native USDC.
But it's still a part of the the token contract is the same as the Ethereum bridge. We talked about this before we left.
Yeah, but now it's actually it's implemented, and you can actually use the bridge. And there's liquidity incentives. So let's look at those.
All right, just sent that prize. I'm gonna flip back over to Max's screen.
We got rewards, incentives. Look at this. Remember 2 weeks ago when we talked about this news the first time, I was saying
too early. There's like nothing going on.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying we should look at where the liquidity is for the Wax USDC pool in a couple weeks. Well, it's been a couple weeks, and there's 1.2 million Wax on the Wax side now. So, cha-ching, success. It's being switched over here. So there is still, if you still have USDT, it still is bridgeable using the IBC bridge. If you come up here, bridge, IBC bridge. But I think as of today, the Ethereum network had its hard fork update. So I think that happened last night, very, very recently. So Ethereum, I'm not Ethereum, sorry, EOS. EOS had its like Antelope integration fork, which means that the IBC protocol needs to be integrated into this new kind of like upgrade that just occurred. And so bridging from EOS chain to Wax chain is temporarily not going to be supported by IBC. And it's not clear when it will be supported. It is probably going to be a couple weeks at least for that Wax support on IBC for EOS to become like a priority to actually implement. So we'll see how long that takes. But in the meantime, the bridge still works in the opposite direction, so we can still move USDT from Wax over to EOS. And on EOS, USDT is native, and it's still going to be backed and redeemable for dollars for another 10 months. So if you see USDT, losing peg or whatever on Wax, buy it and bridge it over to EOS and arbitrage it. You can't bring it back from EOS through this bridge anymore, so the arbitrage is probably going to be less competitive these days. Meaning, if we look at the Wax USDT price, it's probably not going to be close, like super close to 1-to-1. Let's see if we do $1 right now, we get close enough. Honestly, it's only 0.4, like 0.5% off right now, so that's okay. But either way, you can see if we look at this. It had gone over and for a while chilled at like 30% opportunities, and then it pumped even harder, and somebody made a killing arbitraging this back down, because you can literally just now bridge Wax USDC over from Solana with no fee at all using the Wax bridge here, token bridge, and then you can bring over here from Solana. We're getting more and more.
That's a native token on Solana, right? It's not a bridge token.
That's correct.
I mean, it's bridged on the Wax side, but on the Solana side, that is a natively
distributed. It's issued by Circle directly on yeah. So it's the token contract for USDC on Solana is owned by and maintained by Circle, who issues USDC on any blockchain where it exists natively. A native asset means that it was issued by the creator on that blockchain, and there is no secondary blockchain asset that represents its value.
So it's not like bridged from Ethereum to Solana and then double bridged to Wax, which is what I'd be worried about.
Yeah, exactly right. So when we are on Wax, and we now use Wax USDC, Wax USDC is not a native asset. Wax USDC has its value because you can turn Wax USDC into USDC on Solana, where it is redeemable for dollars through the Circle redemption process or just through the DeFi ecosystem.
And that bridge is maintained by the Wax core team. They've maintained all of the bridges on Wax, and so far there have never been any exploits, so there's no reason not trust them, but also that's still a level of trust where you're trusting somebody else Because technically, you don't own that USDC. You own the IOU for the USDC that is held by the Wax team in a bridge.
Exactly. So when we're holding Wax USDC on Alcor, it's like an IOU, or it's a wrapped is the name of the token. It's wrapped. It represents USDC on Solana, and it is redeemable through a bridge protocol. So it isn't like an IOU that you need to talk to someone with. It's but there is also a non-zero chance of the counterpart backing over on Solana getting exploited, and that's what it is when a bridge is hacked. Usually what happens is the counterpart to some issued asset on a different blockchain on the native blockchain gets stolen or exploited out or somehow like drained, and then the issued tokens that are left on the on the bridge other side no longer can be redeemed and therefore become worthless. So that is a risk when we're holding these USDC tokens. But like Lewis is saying, they're issued by the Wax core team. The bridge has been maintained by them since the beginning, and it's probably a step up from USDT in terms of like security, I would say. Despite like I don't distrust Alcor. Obviously, I use Alcor for all of our DeFi stuff here. I've been using Alcor's USDT, and obviously there's trust there. But I think having the majority stablecoin asset, if there's not going to be a native stablecoin on the Wax blockchain, then I do think having the bridged asset being maintained by the core team is hopefully, or is like generally a better idea. Although Alcor has done so much to make stablecoins usable on Wax, and had so many opportunities to dick over people if they were going to be malicious. So I very much have
They also
no
have had
problem
like the
continuing to
majority
interact with
of
them.
value has been locked into smart contracts made
Yeah.
by Alcor. None of them have been exploited. So not even them being malicious, but if a third party is trying to be malicious, like no one's been able to steal money from any of Alcor's smart contracts in the past, and there is incentive to do that. There's enough money that it's not like nobody's gonna even try.
Yeah, exactly. There was and especially at like the peak for Wax, like there was a couple like $1 million in Alcor. But let me log into our wallet here and check what we want to do here. There's a couple new things going on too that I got into. I got into, what was it called? There's a token called Dark Matter. What is that from? I feel like I remember it from
Is that
something.
from that like I'm forgetting the name of the game, but there's that like escape game where you're trying to escape like a board each level, and then you go to like a deeper level. You're trying to like gather equipment and stuff. Could be totally wrong on that.
Oh.
Oh, I think there's an alien drop for Funko yesterday, like the Alien franchise.
Oh, that's kind of dope.
I'm not sure it's on Atomic Hub though. I can look real quick actually. I saw somebody posting about that. I saw somebody made a fake Alien collection and sold $700 worth of fake Funko packs, which is like, I haven't seen someone fall for that in fucking like since the bull run 2 years ago. Was like that was a thing.
Yeah. That's
Like,
another early sign of the bull run coming back, is people doing scams again.
it's got to be. Then it has to be on. Like, if that was happening on Atomic Hub, then it has to be. I guess maybe that would be why somebody did it, is if it's not available on. Let's see.
Oh.
Alien Funko. I don't see anything on Atomic Hub. There's DND.Funko. Yeah, are these in order of selling still? Because I feel like if it is, there's some weird shit happening. The second highest collection is called Asset for Fans with 2 S's. Is this? That's the DJ Luck and McNeat collection. Like, if that's selling, that's got to be some sort of wash trading.
Oh, hold on. I gotta check what you're. I'm gonna look up what you're looking at so we can see it on stream too.
$4,000 in the last 24 hours, and the total volume of the collection is $8,000. That seems fishy.
Oh yeah, here assets for friends. That's funny.
Yeah, created 329. This was like a joke running. Like I feel like the Ultra guys would like send each other these packs because like they did a drop on Wax forever ago, and then just like I don't know. I don't think these guys are even like famous DJs. It became like a joke, kind of like the Saw toilet, where like you're trying to troll someone, you just send them this.
Yeah.
But I would guess that's some sort of wash trading happening if they're doing thousands of dollars of volume suddenly 3 years later after never doing anything on Wax.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I'm gonna guess the alien thing is not on Atomica because it's not in the top sales.
Yeah, I feel like it would be if it was.
Too bad. It sucks when they do like huge properties. Let's see.
TMNT Funkos.
Funko presents some of your favorite characters from the original Alien movie as digital pop. Tune in for the iconic collection and collect them all. Collect by January 22nd, 2025 at 11 o'clock a.m. It's a drop exclusive. I'm gonna flip over to my screen.
Oh, I see.
D-Matter is
they
part
still
of
get
the
that.
Open Space Wax team. Okay, I don't even know. Here's the alien. This one's sick. It's a glow-in-the-dark metallic alien.
Oh my god, what? That's cool as shit.
What? Pilot engineer.
Damn, these are dope.
Ash. I like Ripley at the cat. That's cool.
Yeah, that's dope. Oh, the alien, the xenomorph is pretty cool looking too with a long head. Yamsh just says audio feedback. Hold on, let me check. That's probably my thing's too low or something.
I think either your gain's too high or your room volume's too high. Xenomorph. So it's the xenomorph that has the glowing head. What's the difference between like a xenomorph and just a regular alien? Is that what they're called?
The xenomorph is like once it like busts from someone's chest and has like joined with their DNA, that's the xenomorph. And
It's
then
not like
like
a fully grown alien yet. Is that what it is, or?
I think the alien is like like the face hugger that like lays the thing in your right. At least that's how I always thought of it. I mean, I might be wrong.
So it's like the facehugger goes the xenomorph, and the xenomorph grows into the alien. Isn't that how it goes, or is it just a different type of alien?
I think maybe they're all the aliens.
I don't know what that answer even means.
like the xenomorph and the face huggers and everything, they're all aliens.
They're
but
different aliens, or they're all eventually
like,
turned into the same alien? Is what I'm asking.
Like they're just different stages of life cycle of the same alien, maybe.
Okay, that was my question. I've seen the Alien movies and I guess never really thought that hard about it. I don't know. I'm not like the biggest Alien fan, but I do think the fact that this is like glow in the dark is super sick.
Wait, what's the Freddy?
Freddy's a chestburster Freddy. That's pretty cool.
Damn, the animation for this looked cool as shit too. Oh, chestburster Freddy, dude, that's cool as shit.
Face suit with egg.
Okay.
Oh, he gets
hopefully I
face
fixed the
hug.
audio feedback. Let me know. I just dialed down the room tone and turned down
And
my
now I
gain.
gotta turn you up. I turned you down a bunch.
Oh my god. Dude, these are so cool. Oh, she's holding the cat. This one's pretty meh compared to the other ones.
I don't know. I like Ripley with the cat. I feel like, I don't know. A lot of times when you get Funkos, it's like, oh, we've already done a billion alien drops. So like, you're not getting the main characters. Like Ripley is the fucking main character of Alien. She's got a flamethrower and a cat. What's not to like about that?
That's true. I'm just saying the animation compared to the other animations.
Oh yeah, it's still okay though. She's walking.
Yeah.
She's got the flames going, and the light thing is kind of cool. It's kind of nice. Like,
yeah, and I like that it's an infinite loop too. Which they all are doing that now, which is awesome.
I don't know this guy's head. Maybe I haven't seen Alien as much as I thought I have. Fuck is Ash and
That's
why is his head like
what's his face? He's like one of the synthetic like AI guys. Pretty much all the AIs in the alien world are like evil.
Is he like a
At least I
robot, you're
feel like they
saying?
are. Yeah, he's a robot, and then I guess he works for the AI, which the AI is Mother, and
I need to rewatch Alien. I don't remember.
the AI has like an agenda that doesn't really involve the safety of the crew or the people. It's not that it's evil, it's just not really looking out for the human's best interest, and neither are any of the fucking robots. You
This
just don't really
already.
get that sense.
Book is asking, is this going to drop on Wax? It already dropped on Wax. It's just a drop exclusive, so you can't get it on Atomic Hub. But I believe if you go to the marketplace, it exists right now. You can buy some. Yeah, for $40, you can buy yourself a Xenomorph. Honestly, not bad for
Not bad.
physical. I wonder if the prices are lower because it's not on Atomic Hub. I feel like it probably less people buy it on drop than they do on
Right?
Atomic Hub.
I kind of want one of these. This is one that I'd actually go for.
The fact that it's glow in the dark is pretty sick. Wonder how much the
Yeah.
wonder how much the Ripley one is.
Ripley
I think this
the
dropped
Kitty. Yeah, that
yesterday,
was
so this is like day 2 of this drop.
this
Legendary?
could be a good moment to scoop.
Oh, Ripley's $53, so yeah. She's a desirable character.
Damn.
I wonder
Isn't
why
the Xenomorph like a bigger box too? Isn't that like a big character?
it's ultra also it's rarer, I believe. There's only
Yeah,
42
what?
on the market.
I might have to go scoop
How many
this.
Ripleys are there? There's only 23 Ripleys available. Crazy how much more popular she is then. There's 30 of the 38 and 33 and then 23. So there's like 10 less people want this Ripley. I bet the Freddy is gonna be pretty cool too, like a chestburster Freddy's.
I bet. Chestburster Freddy's gonna be fucking Chase, dude. That's a Chase figure.
I'm putting it back on your screen.
That's a Chase figure for sure. All right, we're back.
In Wax news, feel like you gotta keep up with Funko. That's like one of the cooler properties. I know we've had a bunch of big
That's
ones now.
cool as
Like
hell.
Star Wars, I feel like was a huge. Anything like Marvel or superhero, I feel like I guess the DC stuff is huge. But Alien, I don't know. Alien's such like a classic series, and there's also been so many of them. I think that's where like I don't think I watched the first Alien very often. The one I remember is the one where like doesn't she give birth to an alien in one of them, like Alien Resurrection or something?
Oh, she uses like a C-section robot to cut it out of herself.
For some reason I remember that as her giving birth to an alien, but I guess it's probably just a chest burster situation.
In the newest one, she gives birth to an alien, but that's probably not the one you saw. Like the newest Alien that's like in theaters, like Alien Romulus.
Yeah, not that one. I guess the other one too, I think is Aliens, right? Alien 2 is Aliens with an S.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that one's more like that's the one I'd probably watch more because the first one's more of like a thriller. There's not a lot of
That's-
action. The second one's where you got people just
Yeah.
like with guns shooting at aliens the entire time, and it's like way more
Yeah.
action based.
That's the one with like the exoskeleton suit where he's like, "Game over, man, game over."
Yeah, I feel like that's the one that I
That's-
probably have
yeah.
seen the most of the Alien series.
Yeah,
I think people say the first Alien though is like a better movie, even though it's less like action. I don't know how many series though. Like, does the second movie become better? I feel like Terminator is one of the few series where like the second one ended up becoming more famous than the first one. I feel like Aliens maybe it's just for me, but
Yeah, maybe. Terminator for sure. I'm trying to think of other. There's not a whole lot where the sequels are better, but some. I feel like isn't there another one that like James Cameron did that was a sequel that was better
I
than
don't
the
know.
original?
The Hamster says
Uh-huh.
Aliens is a Fox property, but the mouse Disney bought Fox. The speculation is that I ended up drop exclusive. That makes sense. If Disney owns Fox and Fox owns Aliens or Alien, then Fox, like all the Mickey Mouse shit, was a drop exclusive. They don't let you bridge that stuff over to Atomic
Makes
Hub and
sense.
Wax.
Why that's too bad though, because I do love having that stuff in my Max Collected wallet, which I consider my like NFT gallery.
You know, the physicals though, I feel like it's still
Yeah.
no problem going.
All right.
over
Well,
the
let's
other one.
start. Let's start doing our little DeFi moves here. I'm just looking at our wallet. This is what we have still from last week. or 2 weeks ago now. And it looks like there was a new pool added to the Rook LSW, and we've been missing out on it because we didn't manage to participate in this one. So I guess first things first, let's stake our positions that we aren't staking. Staked. Okay, let's see how we've done. So first, we want to see, do we have runway left? Are we trying to stick around in the pools that we're in? And and we just got a couple more. Or I guess this one, or LS Wax, LSW would, because this one needs to be refreshed every week, which normally we stream on the day it needs to be refreshed. So we probably missed out on 1 week of rewards on that one, unfortunately. But here's what we've earned in 2 weeks. Not too shabby. But let's see first, are we going to stick in these pools? Are we going to consolidate something new? How much runway is left in them, and so on. So looks like we got 12 days left in this beans pool, which we did last time for the crazy high APR. That APR has definitely diminished, so we're down to 200%, which isn't terrible, but isn't, insane like it used to be. I think this was done all with just rewards anyway, and so yeah, we're down to, it looks like about 4 LSW, which I'm not 100% sure how much we started with. So if I come up here and click on the number next to my Wax wallet thing there, it'll take me to the Block Explorer, and then I should be able to pull up here. Which pool was that? So let's see. I think that is this one. No, SDM, LSW, and beans. There it is. So last week it looks like we added 3.96 LSW to that pool, or 2 weeks ago, and this week it looks like we have. Let's go to the pools tab. Actually, get a little more accurate readout of this. So we were at 3.9, 3.8. Okay, not terrible. We're pretty much running steady here, and with a 200% APR, I'm not upset about this at all. So, and then let's take a look here. It looks like our SDM has actually been kind of decimated a bit. We're at 7 wax. I think this was closer to like 20 or something. So looking at, let's go to Wax on Edge and find some price action.
What's SDM from? Is that the Dark Country ship?
Yeah. Let's see. Might have. Oh, oops, that's not Wax on Edge. Wax on Edge. So let's see. Has that token taken a bit of a dump this last 2 weeks? If so, that would almost, definitely explain what's going on.
Is that the Kamala Harris token?
Yeah. I stopped farming that one just because APR fell off. There's better opportunities, and I'm just yield farming for fun, so. Let's see, I'm still farming this one, but I wanted to see, what was the name of that token? SDM. In terms of wax. Oh, yeah. Yep.
I feel like SDM's close enough to BDSM to be like, this token sounds like a kinky token.
Kinky token. Yeah. S&M token, baby. It looks like it definitely got a big old dump. Big, massive dumps. And I bet you a big part of that's going to be because I'm pretty sure a large amount of the liquidity for this is probably paired with Woof, huh? SDM. And let's toggle off of this. Yeah, here, Woof. So, yeah, 3 billion. So it's almost evenly split, Wax and Woof. And when Woof took a huge dump, obviously that's going to drag SDM with it. And then I do think that also because the rewards are in Woof, the rewards APR starts to decline. And then, the dropping price plus people pulling from that liquidity pool gave us a nice little cascade price dropping from way up here. Oof. Hard drop. And with those rewards coming to an end and not sure if they get extended, that could be there's 2 of these. That could be a decent time for us to maybe migrate, take any kind of loss that we've taken versus like sitting around and letting it reach a higher loss. Although 20 days, we could do this next week too. We have just gotten a pretty large sell-off. I don't want to necessarily sell the very bottom of this, but I also don't know much about this token and have no real reason to think it'll bounce back for anything. So let's just see if there's anything else we want to do that we're more excited about. Otherwise, keeping it here isn't the worst idea at the moment. We also are pretty diversified, as to not be super exposed to any one thing. Neon token, we also start with 25 wax. We're still basically flat, and we're still earning our APR on that one. I think the runway on that is still good.
18 days. I'll probably hit up Alcor Dev in like 10 days.
Okay.
Give him a week to
Nice.
get it.
But yeah, this is still over a week, so we can still keep this. Neon, I know the tokenomics a lot more. I know there is no inflation rate or any kind of unlock thing happening or whatever, and I know it's mostly paired just with wax. I'm not uncomfortable holding this, even though 43% has fallen off a bit compared to like what we're usually looking for.
I think that's because the wolf
as
price
far
went down a lot.
Yeah, exactly, and that's again on the wolf price. HCC has a huge runway left, still paying 90%, and then let's see, is it still, what is our wax side of this worth? Still worth 26, so still up a little bit even since we started with 25, 50 wax total on that one. I don't know, I don't mind anything over 100%, and I'm cool to stay in this one. The one I'm most looking to like potentially pull are beans and SDM. Mostly because SDM had a big sell-off and is coming to an end. And then beans is mostly because its pool is coming to an end. So looking at the farm here,
Hey, beans? What the
12
fuck is
days.
beans?
Yeah, beans was one that was printing. So I think we should cut our beans if you're still messing with this. So I'm gonna cut that one. And then 13 days is also coming up on the end of Wax Booty. And with Wax Booty at 65%, I also feel like we can do better than this. So let's cut beans, SDM, and Wax Booty and find something more aggressive to do with those liquidity pools. So to cut these, what I'm going to do is click Manage, and on the bottom just say Collect and collect all rewards. And then we'll just do that to the SDM pool as well. Manage and claim. And claim. There it comes. Oh, you know what? It might be that I have to bring up my task manager and kill some tasks. You know how Alcor sometimes, or Anchor Wallet sometimes, starts tying up your resources. Doesn't seem to be the case right now, though. Okay, and then Wax Booty. We're going to claim these fees and migrate this as well. We had a pretty good run with all of these. The next thing I want to do after pulling this liquidity is farming all our rewards. So let's go to the Farms tab and claim everything that we've earned. Top right corner is the Claim All button. Let's see. We also have been just chilling in Woof, I believe Woof Wax on Taco. So let's take a look at that too.
I haven't messed with Taco
that
in so long. On my own, like personal, I think I have some Taco staked, like just in the single asset pool, but that turned out to be a real bad move for me because I should just sold the Tacos worth like way less now than it was when I started staking it. Whatever Taco I earned for staking it is definitely worth less than like if I would have just sold it.
Yeah, I got into this dark matter pool, which I still don't really know what the hell it is. Here, you can see since I have this wallet up. I put in
Mocha said Dmatter token was part of the Open Space Wax game, which is now
okay.
umbrellaed here. But I don't know. It's part of the EcoSoft games. I don't know what any of that is.
Here, whatever it's from, it's paying an insane APR, like 3,000%.
Do the Open Space and Explore mine are there too. Yeah, okay. I must have missed. That's probably like they launched that after I stopped getting into clickers on Wax, is what I'm guessing. I sort of just like there's so many clickers that came and went on Wax. It's just like I'm out on these. Like, hit me up if you launch a real game. It's still waiting for.
Yeah, this one's also like it's printing so much of this token, it's gonna tank the price, right? 3,000%, unless there's some kind of burn mechanic that I'm unfamiliar with. But it has a runway of like forever. So this one is crazy. I don't know if this is one I'd want to get in with our. Maybe we can do like a small position in this and see how it goes for a week, but probably not all of the money that we're trying to move or all the tokens that we're trying to move from our existing pools. But you can see that in this pool, I think with my wallet, I'm the 6th place now. I was the top liquidity provider when this first went live, and it was like 10,000% APR, and I put in 3,000 wax, so it was 1,500 wax on the wax side. Since then, I've sold 3,000 wax worth of rewards from this already, and like I'm all the way recovered my principal in 2 weeks because I did this right before we left for Seattle. And like as of today, like the last time I sold tokens, I'm actually 100 wax over 3,000 that I started. Like I pulled out so much of this already. It's absurd. I'm pretty sure it's going to tank, race to the bottom at this point. I don't know that getting into it now is a great idea, but getting into it 2 weeks ago, that really played out.
I feel
So
like
you can see,
that's when you probably want to manage more actively, maybe not once a week. Like if you're checking
yeah,
that daily, because the percentage is so high that if you're selling it, the thing is like if it falls a bunch in a week, you're going to earn less for selling. But if you're selling it like claiming it every like 8 hours or whatever, you can probably be safer to get your money back.
yeah, exactly. Since I got into it here and then I didn't even fuck with it the whole time I was in Seattle. And then when I came back, it was like here, and I pulled some of my liquidity and I started this sell off. And then I made back all of the money I put in, and the rest of that, the 1,700. So it's still like more than I started with is still chilling there and earning. And like I said, the runway is indefinite, so it's just gonna keep printing. But basically, at this point, every day, this pool now that I'm made whole, every day it's paying me 0.00187, which
Mocha said
translates to
the
way too
only way to
much,
get it
way too
before
much.
that pool was by playing the game. I guess now this is like the first widespread distribution of it through DeFi.
Uh, see, there you go. So now look at that. Every day it's 300 wax worth of that token. Still, I don't know. It's nuts. I'm staying in that pool, but I'm gonna sell every day. So I don't know enough about the token to want to like keep stacking more. And also 3,000% APR is just nuts. The other side of it is I don't think you can like undo those rewards. Like I've sent some rewards to farms on here,
I mean,
and
it's really
I
not
don't think
a lot
there's
of
not a way to
rewards as
pull it
far as
back.
like whole numbers go, though. It's just the ABY is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But
Isn't it
the
like
APY
half
is
a
that
token a day they're
crazy.
giving out?
Not even. It's half of 0.1 token. It's
Yeah,
0.05.
a
But
20th
it's
of a
also
token.
yeah. But look, the total pool has only a quarter of a token paired against like 1/4 of that token is worth 46,000 wax. So
I mean, I
like
don't know
that's a
how much you
shit
need to
ton.
play the game, but it could be that it's just massively overvalued right now. And like, if you need like multiple of those tokens to buy shit in the game, then the price should come down.
Yeah. But then there was also like looking at that price chart, it was like, oh wait, here it is. The daily chart before they did that insane like run up, it was just kind of like, here. Let's it had already come down like an insane amount. But it had been way higher. It's still like a blip even after that huge run up lately to what it used to be. So, yeah, I have no idea about this token. I just like massive APRs. Big massive APRs. But that's way off topic. So let's look at what we have on Taco with our DeFi wallet too. If it'll connect.
I haven't really
This is
been
always
keeping up with
very iffy.
Taco. Like, I don't know what Taco's up to lately. Last I heard about them, they were going and doing stuff on Solana, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Ugh,
That was a while ago,
this is
so I
still
don't know
being
if
iffy.
like we go to Taco's thing and see what their announcements. 30 announcements.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. The Taco token hasn't really been doing a whole lot, but it's also like I don't feel like there's a reason for me to get into it. Like I love participating in DeFi voting, and I do that on like many blockchains with lots of voting shares. But I just don't see the voting right stuff where just you're staking to some like stake pools as enough of a reason to actually stack some taco. Even though I have like my own meme coin with FTW, and I wouldn't mind being able to vote myself, rewards onto that token.
I think they're
It doesn't seem worth
doing stuff
worth
on
it.
ETH now, it looks like.
Okay.
They're doing Monster Rooms. I think Monster Rooms was on Solana, so they're working on like their.
Here in the background, I'm going to be swapping our Wax Booty and our SDM back into Wax. I'm using Wax on Edge for these transactions. And once I have it all in Wax,
Max made me take profit. Thank you, Max. Tycho chain. Or Takio is its own chain. I just saw Ether as the currency, and I assumed that was Ethereum, but maybe some sort of layer 2 that I've never heard of. There are a lot of Ethereum layer 2s. I'm not aware of all of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I do think we'll see more and more kind of like Ethereum layer 2 private chains, or not even necessarily private chains, but like chains that are just like run by teams for their own shit, which may or may not let you have decentralized access to it. Like I don't know that they'll all be private, but I do think like that's sort of going to be like running your own server, just running your own chain for your own shit, and like not having the. It is kind of weird to like, I don't know, if you were like Nintendo, why would you want to like leave the entire health of the thing where all of your assets live in the hands of another party that could like, potentially manipulate you in some way? Like if you're not developing the chain, what if they're like, okay, now by the way, gas costs $50 anytime you want to mint anything, and then they're just like, oh, so you're just price gouging the shit out of us, and like we have no control over that. So I do think like large companies are going to want control over that sort of stuff, so they're at least like, not putting themselves in a position to be screwed over by people running a chain. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I see that
Sony's making their own chain. Coinbase made their own chain. Like institutions are going to make their own chains, and it'll be layer 2s on top of like public layer 1s, but that's very unlikely to be like a public layer 2. I think, although Disney builds on top of Polygon.
They're also on Vive. Disney's also on Wax. Like Disney just makes money where money is.
Disney's just kind of like all over which is also not a terrible approach. If you're not going to make your own chain, then just like shotgun it everywhere.
I do think it would be an interesting prospect to make like Wax layer 2s. Like if you could somehow make sub chains on Wax, like, and try to get people to like attract developers that way and be like, hey, like make a subchain on Wax, it'll be cheaper than Ethereum, and then have it be like Oasis where like there's a main chain and then a bunch of subchains. It's like, oh, like all there's just on that chain, but then you have the option to potentially migrate assets to the Wax blockchain and use Atomic Hub and stuff. I think that could be kind of fucking cool, but I don't know if that's really what the Wax team is focusing on.
Yeah.
I think it's the other thing too is like Wax doesn't develop EOSIO, so it's like Wax is kind of in the position where they're a subchain more than the people who can make subchains.
Yeah.
Wax is in kind of a weird spot as far as like they were talking about making Wax like a layer 2 Wax that you could like bridge. That was kind of an interesting. Honestly, that I think would probably not be a horrible idea, just because like it kind of has been decided that like layer 2 Ethereum is, if you want like, it's like one day all blockchains will be connected. It's not going to be through EOSIO. I'm sorry, it's going to be through Ethereum. So like making Wax more accessible to Ethereum and not just through like bringing over the virtual whatever, the whole like, oh, you can just run Ethereum code over here. It's like, I think we need to be connected to the other Ethereum chains if you really want to like have that interconnectability that is supposed to be the future of blockchain. But I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the Wax team is. Lucas said he would come on our stream at some point this summer. He's like, talk to me later this summer. And summer's pretty much over, so we could get Lucas on and be like, hey man, what's going on with Wax? Hey bro, what's up with Wax? Wax has been not doing a whole lot. I'm sure he'd love that.
What's the Wax? Right.
Can devs
Maybe
do
he's
something?
waiting until maybe he's waiting until there's more going on.
That's what he told me before.
Deployed.
He was like, because I asked him right after they did like a briefing thing where they're like, "Hey, this is what's going on for the next couple months." So he's like, "Yeah, like we don't really have anything to announce, but if you want to talk to me later when stuff has changed and we have updates, you can do it."
Yeah. Here, I'm running into a CPU wall, so I'm gonna boost my account by paying like a small amount of wax for some extra CPU.
Use the boost to get through.
Since we already do LS wax in some of our liquidity pools, I like to use Wax Fusion for this.
Ethereum Virtual Machine is in the 2024 roadmap. And my thing about the EVM, though, is from my understanding, that allows you to take Ethereum stuff and deploy it on Wax, but I don't necessarily know that that makes like we're still based on EOSIO, so I don't think it's like you can plug and play as far as like connecting to the other Ethereum chains. Like I don't know that. Like you still have to build an EOS to a Ethereum bridge to connect to any of the layer 2s, which is different than like, being able to use Ethereum stuff on our chain. And I think like that bridgeability is more important as far as like, I don't know, everything's going to be cross chain in the future. And I don't think it's easy to build an EOSIO bridge to Ethereum in the same way that is like an Ethereum bridge to Ethereum. Those seem to be easier. I don't know. That's I'm out of my depth there.
Account. How come my graph doesn't show? Here, staked by others. Look at this. I just got staked 900 wax because I paid 1 wax. Cool. Well, that means I'm going to be able to do these transactions no problem. That's not the
Max
wax.
is trying to over module again. You're talking about the echo. I heard some echo too. I don't know why Max's voice chatting settings are changing midstream, but I turned them down a bit, so hopefully we hear less of the echo.
Weird.
Your volume also has just been changing. Like I don't know what's going on with that. I'm having to balance it.
Jeez. I have to mess with my zoom here, my H2. I usually use the H4 as like the main difference, but
it could be worth just getting a focus right. It might solve a lot of problems.
no. Let's see what Paka says. If it's like on EOS, then the EVM would be a different chain, okay, than the EOSIO one, with a bridge between. But at the same time, EOS EVM isn't great. Transaction fees are more expensive than on Base or Arbitrum. Oof. Base is pretty cheap. It's hard to compete with that, I think. I paid 0.07 cents to do a trade yesterday. Like
all of it. So wax moves $1. I do think if there is like the EVM chain, it's a separate chain, and then you have to spend gas, that would burn a lot of wax if people are actually using it. And if it's the same token, just like bridge it over, that could be. But then again, you still have to like, why would people use the wax EVM? I guess is like the next question. Is like in theory, yes, but why are people using the wax EVM over the EOS wax? There has to be some sort of product there that people are actually interested in using. Just like having an Ethereum layer 2 that's worse than all of the other ones that exist. Like I don't know why anybody'd use it, but that's a different conundrum.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
I've been using my my Zoom for I'll show on my desk here. Got my Zoom F8 on my desk. I've been using that. My audio interface, the inputs are broken. My fucking main one.
Oh.
And I've been having to switch. I was using my Duo, which is like what I do this shit on. I was using that and like unplugging it and then plugging it into my computer and then moving it back and forth. That was a pain in the ass. I was like, why don't I just use? I have an 8 input recorder right here that I use for work. So now I use that as the input and then I use my Apollo as the output. But that's been made it much easier to work on music for me. But I like having the dedicated. Like I don't change the knobs ever on the streaming one, so my mic is just always correct. I think yours gets fucked up because you guys use it for film stuff, and then are constantly adjusting the levels and shit. And so then when you plug it in, it doesn't work. It does work, but it's not at the right settings.
Right. let's see. I'm looking for like other opportunities here, and I feel like the best one, especially as far as liquidity depth goes, active developers, and opportunity to earn, APR here, is probably the Rook LSW pool at the moment. Aside from like those insane ones on Taco Swap, which I don't know. Like I said, it was worth like aping in the second it went live. I am still unconvinced that it's not going to just race to the bottom. And like Lewis said, participating in a pool with such a high APR, like 3,000, like yesterday this was 4,000. So a big part of a strategy like that involves, every day, like it's 2 a.m. Pacific time when the rewards get distributed. A big part of the strategy would be that every day at 2 a.m. claim them and, sell them back to Wax until you're made whole. And like I said, it took me only 2 weeks to recover 100% of my principal in a pool like this. And the fact that it actually lasted for 2 weeks is pretty insane. But also, it has a runway for 20,000 days. So it's going to keep printing at least some form of APR. It's just that, the Wax side of this is going to get drained as people are selling it. Unless there's some kind of burn mechanics. I'm not too familiar with this token. Either way, I'm staying away from it with our liquidity this week, just because I think it's a more active pool to be part of versus letting this run for a whole week at a time is pretty like compounding the risk of this type of
I got
venture.
a new guest host on my screen. Everybody's Jean Pierre.
Hey, oh, there he is.
Jean-Pierre?
Hello, JP. JP. Oh, and hello. He's meowing at me over here. I know, buddy. It sounds like someone's getting hungry. Almost. Let's just do these last few things.
They were
here.
annoying me last night, so I fed them after you guys fell asleep.
That's funny.
Got a little bit of wet food. I only gave them like a half of whatever is in that can, though. I didn't give them a whole lot.
So look, this is still 130% APR, 80% of which is coming from Ellis Wax. I know, buddy. You gonna hear him meow?
We can't hear him.
Sweetie. He's a little cute. He's a little chatter. He's a chatterbox. Oh, and here comes JP.
JP was hanging out and watching Counter-Strike with me last night. He was interested. He wanted to see how friggin' Navi was gonna do.
Oh, the two boys. Hey, come on. Don't mess with my little vape. Well, he's got to mess with my stuff. Okay. Either way, I think 130% for a pool this deep and assets that have been this stable, I'm a fan of this. So let's just move we have about 100 Wax. Let's move the rest of that, what we're consolidating, let's move it over to the Rook pool. I think it's worth farming. It's been doing well for us. And I love getting paid in LSW, or Ellis Wax, rather. So it's infinite range again, I think, is our move here. We're not trying to speculate on price or farm specific volatility from trading, or volume from trading, rather. So infinite range means 50-50 split. So the way I'm going to do this is just Wax 50% into Rook. Let Wax on Edge find me my route here. It looks like we're going mostly on Taco. Great. Part of the cool thing about doing it on Wax on Edge too is I don't have to sign into Taco and Alcor at the same time. I can just do it like that. Cool. And then that swap happens, and I want to swap the Rook side of this to LS Wax. So we'll say LS Wax.
I've got Counter-Strike going on my other screen, and Donk is going so hard. Let's go.
Oh, nice. I want to see some of those.
Donk!
Here we go.
Right now he's got
turns into
21 kills and 9 deaths. Not bad.
That totally makes sense.
Oh, I also have I want to show, I don't know if it's real or not, but there's like a potential Magic the Gathering leak that looks kind of cool.
That's dope.
And let's go ahead and perpetuate those rumors, because I don't know anything about it, but I can read some of the Reddit posts to see if people talk about the validity, but
nice. I'm just going to go here to our existing pool, which is already Zero and Infinity, and top it up. And that's all I want to do for this week. I've consolidated some of our pools here. 38, yeah, that works. I've consolidated our let's see, it was beans and SDM and wax booty pools, because all of those were running out of runway compared to LS wax, and were all producing lower APRs compared to LS wax as well. Hey, come on, JP, why are you drinking my water? I
Funny the
swear, they
cat's
have
trade
water
places now.
everywhere and they
Tito's
still
in here
drink.
meowing at me.
Now he's over here drinking my water. Whatever. You can have it. I wasn't drinking it anyway. There we go, though. So here we are now, and it looks like we have 83 liquid staked wax. And then the rest of these pools, I'm going to let them ride. So we still have our wax exposure here in the LS wax LSW pool, which this is pure wax exposure, where we actually have quite a bit of wax. Look at this, 168 LS wax and 37 LSW, and then 130, just 37 LS wax. You can see that over the 2 weeks that this has been in here, we've made about 2 wax worth of just from trading fees. And because this is also, on top of that earning APR from the farm. Let's see if we go staked. There it is. On top of that, we're earning 11, which is 0.05. So, it's also like 2 wax or something a week, 2, 3, maybe 2.5, 3 wax a week. So combining that, that's, let's say 3 plus the 2, that's 5 wax a week just for being in this wax pool with only wax exposure. Pretty great. We're running a little low on runway here, but we also have insider intel that the team behind this is going to be reaching out to extend that. Also, we're not too worried about the wax neon volatility. And then the HCC pool, we're still in profit. We still have huge runway, and it's still APRing harder than most pools out there. So we're going to let this one ride. And we're also just going to continue to ride our Woof wax in Taco. I think what we should do there is wait for, the distribution event that's coming up soon over on Ton Chain, see how the hype cycle affects the Woof price, and reassess next week if we want to pull from the Woof wax pool there or not. But until then, let's let that ride. It's a 0 to infinity pool, so no matter how volatile those assets get, we should catch all of that volatility by being in the Taco pool. We also haven't claimed our Woof rewards from that, mainly because I'm having Anchor wallet issues to log into it, and I'd have to use a different browser to get around that without restarting. And so let's let those accumulate for one more week and take a look at how Woof Wax is looking next week after the distribution event happens on Ton Chain, and see if that kind of gives us a little bit of a lifeblood boost.
You see my
Oh,
Tito
hello,
cam?
kitty. Yeah, look at him.
Tito's such a handsome little cat. I feel like
He is. What a
Tito's
sweetie.
Tito's more like brooding and model handsome than Jean Pierre is like a goofier face, and he always looks concerned. His eyes are like super big
Yeah, his eyes. He always looks like he's on edge. He's just like big old peeping eyes.
Tito looks like he's throwing blue steel, like he's about to hit the runway. Tito's a little handsome cat.
Yeah, little sweeties.
Here on my.
But yeah, so I think that's what we want to do this week. So I'm gonna let the rest of this sit for next week, and then see how we do. And I think what we really want to be looking for next week is, has Bitcoin been able to form a higher low, and are we on our way up to a new higher high, hopefully, or are we just moving back down and staying in our handle for our cup and handle pattern? We'll see. Stay tuned. We'll find out next week. Tune in next week to find out.
The cliffhanger. I'll bring you higher low. I want to show off. Let's do this giveaway, but I want to show off. I want to see this Magic the Gathering thing.
Yeah, show me.
So these are supposedly call them like secret lair, I think is the name. They're like, I don't know what the secret lair drops are. I'm not in the Magic ecosystem.
That's cool as shit.
Some sort of limited
Wolverine.
drops. Secret lair drop. So I'm guessing it's some sort of limited drop, but yeah, it's got Black Panther, Iron Man, Wolverine, and Captain America. So it's Marvel stuff.
I might have to go on Amazon and see what it costs to just buy all these individually.
Nobody. I mean, it hasn't been announced yet. This is a leak.
Oh,
this photo was leaked, so this is. And then I'll read some of the comments just because I don't know enough to tell you if this is fake. And people are like, this could be fake. But this was posted 3 days ago, and they're like, I can delete if it's fake. And somebody said, honestly, these look real. The art and wording all look correct, and the fact that they're secret lair cards means it kind of makes sense that they'd be individually packaged like this. Regeneration is like Wolverine, not Jesus. Has never been so apt. He said, I managed to make out the artist name on all the secret lair cards. The Wolverine card is Victor Adam Minguez, who has had their own secret lair artist series before. The Iron Man artist is Justina Dura, who has done works on a flurry of other Magic the Gathering cards, such as Kalia of the Vast in the Modern Horizons 3 and Reprieve in the Lord of the Rings set. Black Panther artist is Tyler Jacobson, who has done art for Showcase Aragorn the Uniter, Showcase Elmster from the Baldur's Gate set, and Ravnica remastered arena artworks and more. So it sounds like these are all long-standing Magic the Gathering artists, but you only see the top 5 cards. Like, there could be a lot more Marvel cards in here.
That's fucking what a cool crossover, dude. Like,
that seems pretty huge.
Marvel?
Like,
Marvel Universe. I'm so into this.
I feel like the Lord of the Rings is more fitting as far as like high fantasy stuff goes, but like Marvel's just a huge. Marvel's like probably the biggest property in the world right now. Like, if you look at.
Okay, let me just before we move on, let me show you some of the Lord of the Rings cards I got, because holy shit, they look cool.
BuzzKing said, "Did you see the recent commander bans for Magic the Gathering?" I don't know what that means, to be honest. I don't play Magic the Gathering. That might mean something to Max. Is that like there's certain captain cards you can't use in competitive? Is that what that means? I don't think that even when Max plays, it's like necessarily using like competitive deck rules.
Yeah, I usually don't play Commander format. Commander is a format where you're only allowed one copy of any card in a deck, and then like one of your, like, you designate a card to be your commander, who's like a legendary creature, and he basically sits aside from your hand and is castable at any moment. I once had a concept for a cool commander deck where my commander would have been here. I have him right here. My commander would have been.
Oh, this was 2 days ago. It says Dockside Extortionist is banned. Jeweled Lotus is banned. Mana Crypt is banned, and Nadu Winged Wisdom is banned.
This is who I built a deck around for my commander.
I don't know if I have. Let me see if I can make you bigger.
I'll read what he does. So it has to be a legendary creature. He's a legendary creature, elemental. He only costs 3 mana to play. 1 green, 2 colorless. And then his ability is green mana doesn't empty from your mana pool as steps and phases end. And then he has +1/+1 for each green mana in your mana pool. And he's a 1/1 creature. So he's able to basically, green is a color that lets you actually generally generate mana from creatures and other sources. And he's a commander that early game lets me build up my mana reserve to play late game cards very quickly, while also beefing him in the process. Kind of a great commander, and I never really played commander format, but this was always the concept I had for my commander deck. I actually built a deck around this guy, and so I have you can see I have him here, as well as 4 more copies of that bad boy, so that I can actually run him successfully in a deck. But here, let me show you really quick. We'll just do a quick glimpse of the early pages here. I got my Jace the Mind Sculptor side here, foiled Jace. Also, just all Jaces. You're gonna get a lot of glare, but whatever. There's like an Asian one and stuff. Here's a bunch of Planeswalkers with alternate art and limited release ones too. Some really fucking cool guys in here. We'll go to the next page too. This is like the pride and joy of a collection that's gone on since like since I was like 12 or something. So I have some really cool shit in here. Bam. And then let me show you what I got.
So you have a bunch of unopened
we'll
Lord
stop.
of the Rings packs too?
Yeah, I do. I mean, they're not gonna have the One Ring in it because that got found, but it's still super fun to have. Here,
I think
like
Post
just a
Malone
bunch of
owns
these
that now.
Sure does. He is. Hold on. Let me find. Here we go. This is one of the sets from Lord of the Rings. This is it's 6 cards that together create a photo, like an image of Aragorn fighting on Helm's Deep. And then the top center is actually like Aragorn, and all the things around him are like events that are happening and turned into like, I thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever. And I think I have a couple other scenes like that are so cool. Like let's see. Oh, here you go. This is Gandalf fighting the Nazgul, like the Lich King, outside of Minas Tirith, if you remember the Lord of the Rings. But yeah, you can see he's in the bottom center. That's Gandalf riding his horse, blasting the Witch King in the top left.
Are they all like shiny holographic too?
Yeah, they're all foil full art cards that make one full art scene. And then here on the right, oh wait, other side. This is the Witch King, the right, like the flight. Other side, Flight of the Witch King, where he leaves Minas Mirkle or whatever it is in the book. But yeah, you can see all 6 of these cards make up like the Witch King flying on the Nazgul's back. It's cool as shit, dude. They did such a good job with this set. And then I did one more. This is Lady Galadriel. So she's there in the top center, like, and it's just like a scene of her doing like, you know, some kind of like spirit attack, fucking a bunch of dudes up.
I still need to finish the
it was
TV
really cool.
show, the Rings of Power or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's pretty good.
Did you finish the
digging
second
new
season?
I haven't yet. I'm really digging it though. It's a little slow moving, but I like that. I don't know. Super late today, Random King says, "What's up?" Yeah, dude, I got some I mean, I don't play with any of these cards anymore. Like these are just like my collection. Oh, well, before I put them away, I got to pull this one out, and like this is such a cool one. Alrighty, check this guy out.
Oh my gosh,
Marcy's excited about it. Boom! This is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Jace. It's like all black with just like the little foil water stuff. I don't know, so cool. The text is foil. I wanted to get the full set of the Planeswalkers, but fuck, they were like hard to get and like sold out, and you had to be in line like before the fucking place opened, and other excuses why I don't have them. But yeah, I do have a pretty mean collection. Like if you know about Magic the Gathering, a lot of those cards are chase cards.
When you play like competitively, can you mix and match? Like, can you use Lord of the Rings cards with the other sets, or is it like those are kind of like only supposed to be used with other Lord of the Rings cards?
The Lord of the Rings ones had its own like game dynamics. Like there was a rule set for the Lord of the Rings game, like that included like, you know, the ring, using the ring, the ring tempting your characters. Like there's a whole like sub rule thing with it, and it was really fun. But no, like those side sets you can't use in like standard play. Usually when you're playing tournament, it's called standard, and the rule for standard is that you can build a deck with any card that was released in the last 2 years. So it's usually 3 sets of Magic come out each year. So the last. So
you have to keep buying cards to play competitively, basically.
There's a lot of cards that are reissued in newer sets. So if you like, I have cards from like the early 90s that are still like Mana Leak or something like that. They still print that today, but I can just use my card from the 90s. Because it's part of standard. But if it wasn't, then yeah, you would have to buy the newer cards. But yeah, like a lot of cards are continually like in circulation and get just like newer art updates or new reissues, reprints and stuff. But it is an expensive game to play competitively. You do have to spend a good amount of money to stay relevant in standard format, which is why a lot of people like Commander, because Commander is you can use cards from anywhere, but it's just like unlike Standard, a deck in Standard you're allowed to use 4 of the same card, so a deck of Standard cards, usually every card you're running 4 of, and in a Commander deck you're only allowed to run 1 of a kind for all your cards. So a Commander deck is way less consistent in how it plays compared to like a Standard deck. A Standard deck will play very consistently if it's built well.
I feel like if somebody faked this, they did a good job. Even like the writing, it says like something liability, double all or lethality, unfounded lethality, maybe double all damage Wolverine would deal at the beginning of each something step. If Wolverine dealt damage to another creature this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on him. And there's also regenerate Wolverine. The next time he would be destroyed this turn, untap him. I don't know that. Something sap him or tap him. Remove him from combat and heal all damage on him. It says instead sap him, I think. But like, if somebody faked this, I mean, they wrote like the art's good, like all the cards, like the moves and stuff seem like accurate. Like, a lot of trouble.
I think that's the wording for regenerate is basically the way that a regenerate ability works in Magic is that the creature dies all the way and then comes back to life, so that any like afflictions that it had would be gone, like by it being removed from the game and then returning, versus it being like, oh, it never died, because then if it was like enchanted with some kind of like debuff or something, then the debuff would still be there unless it had died. So regenerate is worded weirdly because technically your thing dies and comes back to life.
This cat's meowing at me. So
Magic is fucking super fun. I totally would play that. And I definitely wonder if they're going to do some kind of like new rule set for the Marvel ones, which I would love that, I think. Like the newer set that was out right now, I'm not so, or the one that came out after the like Lord of the Rings one, I was less excited about because I'd played a good amount of the Lord of the Rings game type. And when it went away, I was kind of like, I'm going to take a break from my Magic gaming because I had too much fun with the Lord of the Rings stuff. That and like the cards were like, Lord of the Rings themed, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
You finished season 2 of the...
I still got it. I'm almost done with it.
I kind of screwed myself over. In season 1, I got too deep into the wiki and I spoiled like the final episode reveal.
Oh yeah.
No spoilers.
I'm trying to see.
People haven't seen it, but
yeah, I need to like theorize with people. I think like last time it was like Toon had some really good theories. And
my problem is that there's a character I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I don't remember him from anything. And then that guy ended up being a spoiler, like learning who that guy was. It's like, oh, I should not have gone to his wiki.
Oh yeah.
Because there's so much going on that like after I watch each episode, I'd go and like go to the wiki to see like who some of the characters were. Because I was like, I'd watch the episode and be like, I don't understand what the fuck just happened. Or like, same with like they had those like, I forget what they're called, but they're like the hobbits before the hobbits. I didn't understand what those were. I was just like what the fuck are these things?
Harfoots?
Yeah, the Harfoot. So like I looked them up and I read about their history and then like got into the like that. There's like if you go into like the Lord of the Rings wikis, like there's just a rabbit trail you always go down. Where I learned there's like 4 different types of pre-hobbits and like where each of them settled, and then when they're like they were the first ones to migrate, and then those other ones came and then they made it together, and that's what made the hobbits. Like, oh, so like yeah, I got into a lot of that in between each episode. I kind of like look at the history of stuff, but be forewarned if you do that, there will be spoilers for the show if you click on the wrong character. So I'm not going to tell you which character because I'm spoiling stuff.
What I still want to see in this show is like the actual power that the rings have, because I feel like in the book there is a good amount of like abilities that the rings of power have, and in the movie it seems like the only thing it does is make you invisible, and it does like you do get the sense that it like enchants people, like with those whispers that it like sometimes it's like Aragorn, like put me on. So like it still does that in the movie, but other than those,
that's a pretty
things,
whack power though. That's
it's
more of a
yeah.
my list of plus and minuses, ring whispering at me constantly. That's not a power. That's a downgrade. I don't want my rings to talk to me.
Well, that's like it has a mind of its own, and it's like trying to get back to Sauron. So it like influences people around it with that to that end. Like that's why it corrupts Boromir into like attacking Frodo. That's why it like gets like stolen from Gollum, I think, in the beginning. Or not Gollum. That's why it slips off Isildur's hand when he dies. Like it changes. Like that's another ability it has. It can change size. That's like literally it's in the book, you know. The other thing is in the book, like the Elven Ring. Let's see, allowed to. Yeah, it lets you understand the language of the orcs and the language of like when Frodo when Frodo gets stung by the spider in the books, like when they're on their way to like Mordor, it's like in the third book, he gets like stung by a spider and he gets taken by orcs into like this tower outside of Mordor, like the Watchtower, and then Sam takes the ring and goes and rescues him. In the book, that in that section, you find out a bunch of powers that the ring has. Like when Sam puts the ring on, he's able to understand the orcs talking, which normally you can't understand them. There's that scene, or there's a scene in the movie that's kind of in the book, but in the book it's much clearer that the ring has the power. But like, if you remember the movie, there's a scene where Sam goes up the stairs, and like his shadow scares one of the orcs. Right before he turns around the corner, and then you see it's just him, and then they have like a little comic relief moment in the movie. In the book, that same moment happens, but when the orc sees Sam, because of Sam clutching the ring and the ring's abilities, the ring makes Sam look like a formidable enemy, and it scares the orc away, which is another power that the ring has. So it's like, it makes the wearer look like something that intimidates somebody perceiving it. Also, I think the rings are invisible to people who, like when Galadriel is wearing her ring in the movie, like in the books, only Frodo can see the ring. Like no one else can see that she's wearing it. So that was another ability that the ring has. Like the one ring makes it possible to see where the other rings are, which is why Sauron wants it.
We've got another giveaway going. Exclamation point neon. If you want to hop into this, new form is up. Yeah, there's a lot going on with the lore.
There's so much going on.
We were talking about earlier, like better sequels than the original. Not a movie, but as far as books go, I don't know if there's a bigger sequel to like The Hobbit than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I didn't realize
that's true.
How much time passed, because in my rabbit hole I was like reading about The Hobbit. The Hobbit came out in was it like the 30s, and then the Lord of the Rings trilogy came out in like the 50s. So there's a lot of time passed between that. And there's also a situation where The Hobbit was one of the best-selling children's books of all time, so it's kind of like the studio, like if we're talking, it's book publisher, but they're like, hey man, like this shit sold so well, can you make more of it? And then like he just got like, instead of making a second children's book, that's just like the second, he got so fucking into it that he wrote like an entire trilogy of more adult stuff. Yeah. But like, it's pretty wild, like way that whole thing was birthed. And also like, The Hobbit is pretty short as far as source material goes. I think the book's like 150 pages or something. And it's like a children's book. It's not like a full novel.
Yeah. But it's still, the whole world was basically all the way developed already by that time. It's crazy how well that guy built the world out. So cool. Rock Metal read the book. Yeah, see, he's talking about when Frodo sees her ring. It's like that he sees like it looks like a star on her hand, but no one else sees it, and that's also why she talks to him in his head when when they first get to the Woodland Realm in Fellowship of the Ring. She's talking to him, explaining that he can see the ring because he's seen the eye, which in the movie they're just kind of like, they play it as like a weird. He's like, "Welcome, Frodo, who's seen the eye," in the movie, which is kind of like, okay. That's not what happens in the book, but I get why you're not getting that fucking deep into it in the movie either. I love the movies. I don't want to seem like I'm shitting on the movies.
I don't know, like my memory might be wrong, but I swear I saw a movie of The Hobbit before the Hobbit movie came out. Like I want to say in my 5th grade elementary class, we watched.
Yeah, there's an animated one.
I think that's what it was. I think that's what we saw, and I think so. I was trying to remember. I ended up reading The Twin Towers. It's the only Lord of the Rings book I read, and I read it I was like, I don't know why I decided to start there, but I got into it because of The Hobbit. But I was like, I don't remember reading The Hobbit. I'm pretty sure, like in school, we watched an animated film on The Hobbit, and I was like, oh, this shit's kind of cool. So then I like
Yeah.
went to the library and like just got a Lord of the Rings book because there's by the same author. But I started in the fucking
The Two Towers.
the Two Towers. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's I feel like the Fellowship is still my favorite. Like the early, like I just love the whole like assembling the team, like all the backstory of all that shit. I really loved that.
I think I was too
And then
young
like
too. I think fifth grade was too young to like understand all the nuances of
yeah.
like it's a
There's
in depth
also
book. There's a lot going on.
I also want to know how, because in the movie, like in the parts of the show where I'm at, like the rings of power aren't in the hands of who they're in during the Lord of the Rings movies. Like, I want to see, how does Gandalf get the fucking fire ring? Because during the Lord of the Rings movies, like Galadriel still has the ring, the like star ring, the white one, but like Agent Smith, what's his name?
The elf dude.
Uh, yeah, the elf, the like her kind of like they're always at odds. What's his name in the show? I forget. It's like
I'm not good with their names of any of the people.
yeah, me neither. But like he has the other one, and then the third one Gandalf has, which is also like not clear in the movie that Gandalf has a fucking ring of power,
I'm not
and
sure I
it's
knew
also
that after
not
watching
made.
the movies.
Yeah, that's definitely not clear that he has one of the rings, and it's also why he's like able to stand up to the Balrog. Like he has the ring of fire, which is like what helps him fight the Balrog. There's no way fucking Gandalf could take on a Balrog. At least not Gandalf the Grey.
It's crazy that
But that's if you get.
after Gandalf had it, he gave it to Johnny Cash. My bad joke of the day.
Yeah, yeah. It's I just wonder how it's gonna pass to those people, because right now 2 of the 3 aren't in the hands that they need to be in.
I still need to finish the first season, but I was enjoying it. Definitely like I don't know. It's a well-made show, and like has me getting more interested into like researching Lord of the Rings stuff because it's so in depth, and I don't have the book knowledge that some other people do. And I feel like they explain it pretty good in there, but there's so many characters and there's so much going on that I'm like, who is this again? And like, why do I care what they're talking about? And so I'm always like
Yeah.
wikiing it, but kind of fun.
I
I like
love
things that
the
like make you dive deeper to learn more about them. Like it's a fun interactive way to watch the show.
I love the origin of like Mithril is another crazy one too, where it's like a pre prehistory like fight between like good and evil, and like some kind of like holy lightning striking like the tree where the elves that like gives the elves life in Middle Earth, that like the tree that was dying, you know, in the show and all that.
The one where they're like slaves, kind of.
Which one? No, the like where the king elf lives. It's like a really nice place, but like that tree was like slowly dying, and then like that's why they made the rings in the first season, where they're like, you know, we'll make the rings and use it to like restore the tree back to health. But that tree is like crazy ancient and is like a source, like a site, like a holy site basically for elves. And there was like a fight between like good and evil, and like like some kind of like righteous lightning thing like hitting the tree, and the electric shock of that like passing down into the earth below it is what like Mithril is. So like when you see like those veins of Mithril that the dwarves start to mine, the way they like look like lightning bolts jaggedly going down like inside the canyon, I was like, damn, that's a cool fucking
Where I'm
touch.
at, it's like the like
nod to that. That was
Father King told them to stop mining. Is where I'm at in the first season, where like they were mining and there's some sort of like crash in the shaft, and then he's like, the dad of the dwarf was like, you guys can't mine that shit. And he also told the elf to keep it under wraps. He's like, hey man, I'll tell you what's down here, but you can't tell anybody about it. Even though he said that, and then like when the elf guy returned, they were like knew what was up, even though he didn't tell them. But yeah, that's where I'm at in the first season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Rock Metal Gandalf gets gifted the ring by the Elf King in the movie or in the book. Like the Silmarillion, he gets gifted it when like the King of the Elf has a meeting with like the entire order of the, I think there's 9 wizards or 7 or something.
I feel like in the movies you only ever really see one wizard.
You only see 3. You see Sauron and what
Sauron's
is
a wizard?
He's not a wizard. No, he's not one. Sorry, Saruman, the guy who was at Isengard,
Was he the guy?
like the other tower.
Yeah.
He's the guy that like was the head of the order, where in the early movies Gandalf goes and seeks his counsel, and then he like reveals that he's like turned evil, you know. And that's what in the Two Towers he's like the villain. He's the guy who like creates the army that he sends to Helm's Deep.
You have such a crazy imagination to come up with all this shit. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I'm a pretty creative person. I could not invent a universe like as deep as this.
Yeah.
This dude has.
And then the third wizard you see in the Hobbit movie is the Brown, like Radagast the Brown or whatever, the guy who lives in the forest and has like the bird shit in his hair.
I never watched the Hobbit movie.
Okay, yeah, but that's the only 3 that you ever see like in the movies. But I think there's like 7 in the book, and they all have a meeting with the King of the Elves at one point, and Gandalf is the like he appears the most like an old kind of decrepit man, whereas all the other people like appear as more young, like vibrant, whatever that they're trying to give off. And because these beings aren't humans, they can appear to out like other people however they want to appear, and like that informs the King of the Elves like decision to think that Gandalf is the most worthy, like that, like his appearance and stuff. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but I remember like it was something like that, where like the King of the Elves was very like smitten with Gandalf's like humble appearance, and like even though he was not the leader among that group, he was like deemed the most worthy.
Even though he just made himself look old, so he wasn't even necessarily.
Yeah, something like along those lines. I
remember sneaky Gandalf. All right,
I love
got
those
the scrubfish
books,
going.
Dude. There's so much lore.
I feel like I'd play.
He is Gandalf.
I'd like to play like
Gandalf
a
is...
Lord of the Rings RTS, like a Warcraft 3 style Lord of the Rings. I think that would be sick. Have they made one of those? I feel like they had to have like a Warhammer or like.
I think so. I feel
Warcraft
like
style.
I never played any of the Lord of the Rings RTS, but I did play those like hack and slash ones that were really fucking dope.
Those are fun too. Those were kind of like Dynasty Warrior style. Dynasty Warriors was such a friggin' fun series, even though I feel like it was just like spam smack. Twalter, congrats.
6th place, boo.
All right, we'll do one more giveaway and then probably call it a stream. Tomorrow we got off the rails, so we can chat about whatever. Although we're pretty off the rails already today.
If you got any theories about the current season of Game of Thrones, I
need to catch up. I'm on like the 7th, like I'm almost done with the first season, but I just got distracted by other stuff.
We were so spot on the first season, like with our theories when we were talking about it in the Discord back then. It was like everything we thought was like every person we thought was who he was, and like everything we predicted was correct. It was so good. And it was mostly, I think, Toon, or I forget who was like that had. I think like
Toon's
been
watching it. Toon posted that he's watching season 2 in the Discord.
Okay, I gotta ask him what his theories are right now.
I just been watching the new season of The Circle on Netflix. That's my favorite reality TV show. It's much better world building than Lord of the Rings. The Circle reality TV show.
The whole thing I loved about Lord of the Rings too is like the concept of all the like the rings is like the whole thing. It's like it's an attack on Middle Earth by Sauron. Like the reason that the rings exist is because Sauron tried to create like these rings under the guise of like helping all the different like kingdoms of Middle Earth, but intentionally trying to then use them to corrupt those kingdoms and destroy them before he rose back to power to conquer Middle Earth. So by the time he actually like, you know, fights off Middle Earth, like the elves and the men like kingdoms aren't really like friendly. Not that they ever were super friendly, but they're like at odds, and like the dwarves all have like receded into their own like holes and aren't part of like the, you know, society anymore. So like it was all his plan to basically like give them these rings, and then the rings corrupt, you know, each thing.
It's a real long con.
But obviously, he basically was unable to like participate in crafting the rings for the elves, because that was entirely done just with his like Like he gave like the idea of how to create the alloy on how to make the rings work, but he didn't physically help like build the rings. Whereas every other set of rings he actually builds himself, and is able to like use them to corrupt people. But dwarves aren't humans, and dwarves are like forged, like steel and like mountain stone and whatever. So they're like stubborn and really tough and immune effectively to like the type of corruption that Sauron has. And so like it doesn't really work as well on the dwarves as he intends it to work. But what it does is it makes the dwarves like bad qualities amplify. So after the dwarves put the rings on, that's when they start getting greedy as shit. That's when like they start stockpiling that treasure, which attracts Smaug in the dragon from like the Hobbit movies. Like that all happens after they first get the ring. Like the whole dragon sickness, and like they start digging so deep that they wake up the Balrog. All of that shit is because of the rings, and that I think is really cool because it's like, you have this whole like Lord of the Rings epic story, but like it never is like revealed what the whole master plan was behind these rings. And like there is a master plan, and it's fucking brilliant. Like, I don't know. I love those books. Are so fucking fun. If you can't tell, I'm like geeking out about it.
Are you watching that new Netflix show Chaos?
What's that about?
Like I think it's Greek mythology, like Zeus and like, is Zeus Greek mythology? I don't know. I've watched the entire show
Yeah.
and I'm too dumb to even like explain what it is. But I don't know. It's been like the top show on Netflix. It's like on the. Let me read you. It's the British mythology black comedy television series created by Charlie Cobble for Netflix. It revolves around three
Okay.
humans as they discover their connection to each other in a long-standing ancient prophecy while they deal with corrupt and arrogant gods of Greek and Roman mythology. The
Oh.
premise is an all-powerful yet insecure god Zeus starts to fear his end of reign once he notices a wrinkle on his forehead, possibly indicating the end of the world. He becomes paranoid and vengeful towards his devotees. Meanwhile, three humans start to discover their connections with each other. It's got Jeff Goldblum as Zeus. It's got Zeus, Hera, Eurydice, Poseidon, Hades. Got like all these Medusa.
Oh,
Yes.
that's fun. I love Greek mythology.
But yeah, it's set in like a modern, like pretty modern world where like there's just a bunch of humans living around, like going to grocery stores and stuff. And then the gods go to Earth and interact with them. So like you see like the gods interacting with humans, but it was
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't love it, but it was interesting. I think it's got really good critical reviews, but like I feel like my take is not. You go to Rotten Tomatoes, I think it has like universally loved, but I was like, their names are weird. That was my take on it. It's got a 74% by critics and 82% by. It was okay.
I feel like Jeff Goldblum as Zeus is already like I'm here for that. That sounds fun.
A lot of people are talking about how much they like that in the reviews and stuff, but I didn't like the tone of the show. I guess I'd say it's hard to explain, but the tone was kind of just weird to me. Like it, I don't know, it's hard to even explain tone, but it's had a weird like off tone. Like it's definitely like fantastical. It's not like super grounded in reality because it's a bunch of gods and stuff, but like it's just a little weird. I didn't love it. I watched it all. It's like I didn't love it, and I watched all of it.
Yeah. Let's see. I just finished the Umbrella Academy. I was a little disappointed in the ending.
I still haven't watched any of that, but I might check that out eventually.
The whole last season felt like the stakes just weren't there, and I didn't really like. I don't know. It was a fun show. I don't think you shouldn't watch it, but I do think that like it was time for it to end, and I kind of wish that the end was better. It was kind of very fragmented, like everyone was doing their own thing, and not really like a team ending where they all go out as a team of bickering heroes. But whatever, it was fun. Check it out. I won't spoil anything. It's just interesting.
There's so many shows and stuff to watch. That's why I got sidetracked from Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, there's just so much other. Lord of the Rings is also like it is a slow and dense show, so I feel like kind of have to like be in the right mood to watch it. Whereas other stuff I'm kind of just throwing on in the background while I'm like playing games on my phone and stuff. Lord of the Rings is so like complex that I feel like I have to be paying attention to it, or I'm not going to understand what's going on. And I also end up reading Wikipedia articles and stuff. It's pretty in depth.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably finish that. Like
It's slow, but it's dense still. I feel like there's so much like nods at things, and yeah, there's a lot going on in Lord of the Rings. It's like Game of Thronesy, although much slower still. I think, I don't know.
Game of
Like,
Thrones
if you're
is
not
also
as
more
much
like
of a nerd,
Game of Thrones is very like, I feel like they kind of like cheaply add like incest and like all this, like they make it's pretty much like, I feel like I describe it as it's like a fucking soap opera. It's like a soap opera with violence, so it like appeals to men and women. But like I feel like Game of Thrones is kind of like cheap in their storytelling, where they just do like a bunch of fairly like really outrageous stuff, whereas like Lord of the Rings is more like subtle, I guess.
yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed Game of Thrones. I liked it, but it definitely had like kind of like a trashy soap feel to it, whereas like a lot of drama and a lot of like outrageous
yeah.
stuff.
I'm also a little bit like confused with the timeline of how they're gonna get to events that have to happen in the canon of Lord of the Rings. Like, cause
They're just gonna make
like we already know
20 seasons of Rings of Power. They're setting it up so they
yeah,
can just milk this.
but we already know for sure that Isildur is the one who cuts the ring from Sauron's hand, like in the fight, like the fight, like the last fight of elves and men or whatever they call it. But it's like we know that happens, and he's still a child, and his dad is there too. So he like in the battlefield, like his dad gets struck down, and he goes and picks up his dad's sword and slices off the guy's hand or fingers or whatever. And so he's a human. So this has to happen in the next like 10 years or so. And like I feel like I don't know how quickly shit goes to hell, you know? I don't know, like how quickly can the elves or like can the dwarves get their rings and then wake up the Balrog, you know? And how quickly can the dwarves I guess I guess never mind, that doesn't have to happen right away.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
I
because I
feel like
guess
they're
that
definitely
doesn't
leaving
happen,
themselves
like,
rooms to make, like, you know, some seasons.
because that happens and that's like he keeps the ring. Oh, and then yeah, and then over time, still shit goes to hell. That's true. Okay, so it can still happen pretty early on. Never mind. I just got my timeline. You know what I think is really cool? That wasn't like it. They did a good job of it in the movie, I thought, but it's just way more badass in the book. Is the like ring wraiths, you know, the Black Riders, and like in the, you know how they look in the movie, how they're just like they don't like they're just hollow, like they're just like, you know, they just like are shadows inside of cloaks, or
Yeah.
when they like have armor on, it's just like their blackness inside the armor. In the book, what it is, it's just like with the one ring that Frodo has. When they wear the rings, the 9 rings that were given to the men, it gives one of the abilities of the rings is invisibility, and over time, like it no longer like it just wears, it doesn't like stop. They just like basically become permanently invisible, and they shift to the Wraith world, which is like that like in between life and death world where Sauron comes from and gets his power from. And like by the time they're like full on Black Riders, they're like 100% like living in the Wraith world, and they're fully like hollow and invisible in the like real world, which is like way intense and scary in the book. But I feel like they do a good job of it.
They're
in
pretty
the movie,
scary in the movies.
you don't get the sense. Yeah, you don't get the sense though that they're just invisible, and they like can't not be invisible because they've slipped fully into the invisible like shadow world.
Also,
Yeah,
for the
or
sake of the
Wraith
movie, I don't
world,
know
as
that
it's
you
called.
need to know that it's terrifying that they're chasing Frodo.
No, yeah, definitely not.
That's a lot of extra information.
They look fucking terrifying in the movie. They did a great job in those.
That was like one of the big. I'd say that's like. I think isn't the Balrog in the first movie too. I'd say that's like one of the big like parts of the
Yeah.
first act, like the most intense part, right? Is I'd say when they're chasing him.
Yeah, for sure. Also, just like the way they looked was so good. Like where like when he steps on like the ground, like the spiders and shit come out of the dirt because they're like, yeah, that's like they were scary. They did a really good job with it.
I would need to
You know
rewatch Lord of the Rings.
what wasn't clear in in the movie though is that after Frodo gets stabbed by the Black Rider, who uses like a Wraith World blade, you know, like so it's like a sword that's not a mortal world sword, which like basically is gonna absolutely it's gonna kill him. Like there's no getting around that. But they get him back to like Rivendell with the elves, where
I'll
like
give
he
him some
first
like
meets Agent
elf
Smith.
magic healing shit.
Yeah, so what's not clear is that that guy who heals him has one of the rings of power, and one of that ring is a healing ring, and so he's healed by the ring. He's
Yeah,
healed
that's
by
not
the
clear in the
Elvish
movie.
ring.
I thought it was
That
some
is
sort
not
of
clear at all in the movie.
like potion that healed him.
Yeah, see, so it's like, and they're all in the movie. They're like, oh, he's a great healer. I have to get to you. I have to get you to this guy, and it's just like, yeah, because he has the fucking like ring of power for healing. But
They also said in the
yeah,
Rings of Power TV show, like when the human is asking the elf, she's like they're because they have like doctors and shit for the humans. Like, oh, do you guys have doctors? Like, yeah, but we like self heal, so they're like more sounded like they're more like therapists and like mental healers than they were like physically
yeah,
healing because elves have like regeneration of some sort.
yeah. Elves are immortal as long as like the light of the Eden star like shines on them or some shit like that. It's like a crazy religious like allegory. I can talk Lord of the Rings all day. There's so much to it. There's whole languages like that that like you could straight up speak Elvish. That's like a real like flushed out language, which honestly I skipped all that in the book. I just leafed right past the Elvish. I was like, I can't.
I'm not gonna
Like,
try to
I'm
decipher this
not
nonsense.
as much as I love this stuff, I'm not about to learn Elvish. Sorry.
That's like the people that learned how to speak like that Lord of the Rings like Dothraki. Like people actually
Oh
like
yeah, exactly.
interpret it and like
Yeah.
because they do like there's like a guy who's literally his entire job was to like make sure that the actors are using a real language and not just making up words. Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I think let's see. I think Daniel Tosh interviewed that guy and he talked about he's like how do you like let the actors just make up whatever the fuck you lie? He's like no, like there's actually like lines that they have to learn and there's like the language has to make sense.
Yeah.
Daniel Tosh language. Yeah, my fictional language creator, David Peterson. Let's see what David Peterson's worked on. That was a fun interview though. Daniel Tosh's podcast is fun. He kind of just trolls everybody, but he brings on people that are language creator. I think this guy worked on. Yeah, he created Dothraki and the Valerian language, Game of Thrones. He's also worked on
Oh
Dune
damn.
and Dune Part Two.
The Dune language is pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, his entire
It
job is
just sounds
creating
like
fake languages.
the Dune language just sounds like feedback and grumbles. That beginning thing where it's just like and the like translation is just like the spice must flow.
Worked on Game of Thrones. He did Dothraki, High Valerian. He did the Magnuk, Great Tongue of the Giants. He did the Scroth, Ice, unused language that was meant to be spoken by White Walkers. So he invented a language they never used. The Asshai, unused language that was meant to be spoken by the Assai. I don't know what that is. These are all unused language. He worked on Defiance, Starcross Dominion, The 100, Penny Dreadful, Face Off, the TV show, competition show. Yeah, he's working on a bunch of shit, but yeah, if you're
That's crazy. That's fun.
interested. Oh, he did worked on Halo. He did the language of the Covenant.
Oh no way! I loved that language, like the whoop 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 whoop, like way that the fucking elites talk.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, check out this Daniel Tosh podcast because it
That's
kind of
fun. That's a good
explains
one
how he
for
comes
like
up with
off the
stuff.
rails.
Yeah, we
I
could
gotta
watch some
fucking
of that
check that out.
tomorrow. I think we have a bunch of
I'd
videos
be
though because we
into.
went two
I'm interested
weeks
in that.
without it, so we have like a quite the
That's
queue of
definitely cool.
videos. Yeah, I don't know. We can check it out tomorrow, maybe. Actually, we don't
Yeah,
have that
that's
many.
fun.
Less than I thought. Eamster posted shit All right, let's do this last giveaway. I'm hungry. Haven't really eaten yet today.
Yeah.
Probably work on music. Work on music every day. Getting back on the grind.
Such a fucking poopy morning, dude. Just poopy.
Poopy morning?
Poopy.
Like actual poop?
Had to wake up to take a shit like more than once.
Now, my stomach's been all fucked up, but also my stomach's always fucked up, so
All
I don't
fucked.
know.
Yeah, mine's all fucked up. This last since I got to Seattle, I don't know what the fuck I ate something there, but I've been hoping to get over this for probably day 5 now, and it's getting a little better. But God, I'm over it, man. It sucks, fucking.
All right, let's.
Stomach stuff's the worst.
Yeah, I need to go back to the doctor. Mine's not. I'll give Dave Ira one shot. Okay, there you go. You did it right. Spelled neon wrong. Mine. I don't know. Mine's kind of always a cycle, but it gets better for a bit, then it gets worse, and now it's on a worse part where I'm like, I should try to get this more permanently fixed. I also take 6 probiotics every single day. I'm just popping probiotics left and right. Even that is not helping. That's probably not good.
I should eat some probiotics, get some yogurts or something too.
Pro and pre. I don't really do the prebiotics. Prebiotics can actually feed
Football
bad bacteria.
Tomorrow. Ooh. Who are you rooting for?
I'm also excited for football tomorrow. Although my fantasy team is just complete garbage this year.
How's your lineup set already?
Yeah. I have 2 players that are questionable that might be injured, so I might put them on the injured reserve and pick up more players, but they haven't been teamed out yet. That's annoying when it's I know this fucking guy's not going to play. The way that Yahoo works is they have to be out, which is O, or they have to be on the IR to be put in the IR space, and they're questionable. So it's a game time decision. So it's I can't put him on the thing that puts him out of my roster so I can get new guys, but I know he's going to be fucking the guy's got a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprains take 5 to 8 weeks to heal, and it's 2 weeks into it. So it's just fucking tell us he's not playing so I can pick up a new player, coach. But I don't know. I've had a combination of my team hasn't done well, and then also the points against my team are the number 3 in the league. So I've been getting screwed by getting the worst opponents, while also my team is not doing well. So I'm just getting wrecked this year.
Oh. What is IR space? Yamcha says
injured
he needs
reserve.
more IR space.
You get 2 injured reserve spaces, so you can store 2 people that are injured and then replace them with non-injured players. I'm gonna give Cone Dog 750k.
Is there a way to get more space for that, or no?
I mean, as the commissioner, I can change it, but no, we're keeping it at 2. The problem is if you do too many IR spaces, then if you give people too much bench space and too much IR space, then there's just no players left to pick up on the waivers. If you need a new player, everybody's just stashing them all.
Right.
You do it I'm gonna get 500,000.
2 sounds appropriate, right?
Funny.
Is 2 a standard?
Yeah, it also depends on how deep your league is. If you have 16 people in your league, you probably want less space because but if you have 8 people in your league, you can probably have more bench space because there's more players that you're able to get. But yeah, we're just using the standard. We're also a 12-person league, which is pretty standard. I feel if you do an 8-person league, that's some Mickey Mouse bullshit where it's every single team is just all stacked with the best players, and it's just luck who does the best each week. Whereas if you have 12 to 14 players in your league, you have to understand depth and take some gambles on not star players, and then have your non-star players do well. I feel takes a little more knowledge. But I'm in a league with 20 players, and that one's just fucking nonsense on the other end, where it's you're just lucking around injuries pretty much. It's okay, I drafted 3 good players, and if any of those 3 players get injured, I'm losing. And then all the backups are already taken, so it's even if my player gets injured, I can't go get his backup because all of the backups for the stars are taken. 200,000 to Bugsy. 75,000 to Yamster. I'm still excited, and I've been doing like fantasy outside of our fantasy. I do fit daily fantasy. I won some money in that, so even though my Neon League
nice.
team is sucking, I'm still doing all right in fantasy. Walter will get 50,000.
Yeah, I've been practicing basic strategy blackjack again. It's super fun. I like the idea that like in that game there's a correct move to make for any scenario.
Yeah, it's also
Like, it's
decent
not-
odds versus the house, like of
Yeah.
games you can play. It's like one of the closest. I watched like an interview with, I think it was Two Bears One Cave, where they like talking to Dana White, who's like the head of the UFC, and he was saying craps is the best odds, like the best odds versus the house.
Okay.
But I don't really understand how craps works. But he was that
Yeah,
guy's
I
also insane.
understand
He does
blackjack.
$250,000 hands.
Oh Jesus!
But he claims
I do $1 hands.
he claims he's like won more than he's lost. He's like, yeah, I've taken the casino for like 3 million in a night, and he's like, then I lose 1 million the next night. But I don't know, that guy's fucking. He's like the owner of the UFC. He's wildly
the thing I
rich.
The thing I really like about blackjack is how, like, the things that happened in the past rounds affect what'll happen in the next rounds, because, you know, whatever cards have already been played can't be pulled again. So, like, there is a way to kind of like understand your odds as they're changing over time, whereas almost every other casino game, the odds don't change. Like, the odds just stay the same every throw of the dice, every whatever. But for blackjack, the odds are changing, and if you're able to keep track of like what's come, then you can, like, you know, understand how to bet when the odds are in your favor, which is super fun, but also really fucking tricky. And the few times I've like done it successfully,
$1 million hands. Who the fuck is accepting $1 million hand? That's crazy. No casino take his action.
Jeez.
His game of choice is double deck blackjack. I want to learn craps though. Craps always looks like
Double deck
fun. There's something about craps where like if you pull just a single card, you can win like before the hand even starts, which sounded pretty cool when Dana White was explaining it. And I was like if you pull like, I don't know, there's like certain cards where it's like that card just means you win, so like you can just win immediately. That sounds fucking like getting a blackjack like off the.
Yeah. Well, the thing in blackjack is that when you get a blackjack, you don't get double your money. You get 1.5 times your money. So you get like more than double your money. So
that 1.5 more than double. Oh, you mean, okay, I understand.
You're like 1.5x instead of 1x. Yeah. Yeah. So you get like, if you put up $1 bet, you win $1.50, so you get back $2.50. I
think it's also pretty rare to get blackjack though, compared to like craps is like, I think you said if they pull a 6, if they pull a 6, you win. So it's like, I don't know, that's like a 1 in 12 shot or whatever that you're gonna win.
That's the whole concept behind counting cards, is like, because you can see what's already come, you can know what the odds of like a blackjack, like when the odds of getting dealt a blackjack increase. And so that's why like counting cards isn't like telling you how to win, it's telling you how to bet. It's like, oh, if based on what the count is, you should be betting this many times the, like, you know, base bet. So it's like, if the count is in your favor, you should start betting, like, you know, really big.
I don't know if craps might be the same way, where like, you know, there's only a specific amount of cards, so you can like.
I want to go play craps with someone who knows how to play it. My issue with craps, I just don't know how to play it, and I feel like I want to go with someone to a casino who knows it and can like.
That's what Dana White said. Dana White said he went to the casino, and he's like, there's a bunch of Chinese guys that fly into Vegas. And he's like, these Chinese high rollers. He's like, I just went and sat with them, and like, he's like, for like about a month straight, I was just like picking their brain and learning from them. And like, it's like, when do you bet, when do you don't bet? And he just learned all the rules from those guys. He's like, once I learned from them, now I like do my own stuff.
From what I've seen when I've played craps, it was like the majority of the betting is being done by not the person throwing the dice. It was like one guy's throwing the dice and playing the game, and everyone at the table is just betting on what the fuck that guy's about to do.
It always looks
And
cool though. That's like, I don't know. There's like a lot of fucking commotion that will come down at a craps table if like everybody
yeah,
bets on a roll and then he gets in, the whole table wins. Like that seems like just a fun.
because that was the one thing I was understanding, because I was playing with a few people, and it was just like, was that it wasn't about like, everyone puts their bet and then the guy rolls and everyone either wins or loses. It was like the guy rolls and then it like either like loses or primes for a win, and then the next roll is when everybody wins. And so
Maybe
that's what gets everyone like excited, because it's like you roll and then it's like, oh shit, like the win is on deck, and now everyone's like, I don't know. It was weird.
maybe it
I
was
don't
Baccarat.
understand
Maybe
it.
I'm saying the wrong
Someone
game.
needs to like explain it to me.
Is Baccarat a card game? Because I swear he said it's a card game. Baccarat.
Craps is, I think, a dice game. Like,
Yeah, I might have the
You
wrong
have a
game.
dice. I think you shoot dice on a craps table, like a craps. Like it's the one where you're trying to roll a 7 or something. Like in most like cartoons, where it's like, come on, 7. I think
It
that's
says
craps.
Baccarat, the elegance of 50-50. The player and banker bets are akin to betting on heads or tails, but with slightly better odds. The key to Baccarat appeal lies in its simplicity and favorable odds. The player bet carries a house edge of around 1.24%, while the banker's bet's edge is even lower at approximately 1.06%. I think that's when Dana White was
Damn,
talking
that's
about,
a
where
good.
he's like, it
That's
has
a
the
good
best
bet.
odds of everything in Vegas.
0.06 is a good odds, yeah, for a fucking table bet. So you should, if you're trying to bet in Vegas, you should go bet on the banker at a craps table then, or whatever that game is, Baccarat.
Massive Baccarat hand with Dana White in Vegas. Okay, so yeah, I think that's right. Dana White teaches Baccarat to the two bears. I just got the name of the game wrong because I'm an idiot, but yeah, he was.
Baccarat, I've played that before on crypto casinos. That one I kind of get. That
He,
that
he
is pretty much just
claims
high
he
or low.
won 26 to 27 million between January and March in Vegas.
See,
He
yeah,
claims.
Yamster is saying craps you roll 11 and you win all day. Yeah, so
I
yeah,
don't think
craps is
rolling
the
11
dice
is super
game.
easy though. Yeah, Baccarat.
No, it's not.
I'd never even heard of Baccarat. Like that's not a one. That's why like when Dana White was talking about, it, I was like, oh, maybe this is like something I should learn how to do because it seems like the odds are pretty good, but I don't know any of the rules to Baccarat.
Yamster knows his gambling so well that he's like, wait, Chinese cards? That's Baccarat.
I still think it'd be fun if we ever did like a neon get together to do it in Vegas. We should do our like neon get together
I'm
and then go
super
to
into that.
the neon sign museum as a community, and then
I'd be so
go
into
do degenerate stuff on the Las Vegas Strip. But it's, I don't know. I feel like
that.
Las Vegas is great, like compared to Los Angeles, which obviously Los Angeles has a lot of cool stuff going on, but it's so expensive to like accommodations in
Yeah.
Los Angeles to get a hotel or even an Airbnb. Whereas Vegas, you can get a hotel room for like $20-$30 a night. It's not gonna be the best hotel room,
Yeah,
but I'll
especially
get
if
you
it's
like.
like in a week in between like events, you can get like crazy deals.
That's why I think like if we pick somewhere for the community to meet up, that'd be fun. Just as far as like, I don't know, you don't have to have a whole lot of money to go out to Vegas. Vegas is cheap. And I would definitely try to do it like on an in between event time. I wouldn't be trying to like compete with some large, but I don't know.
Oh my god, Yamster, I might have to join. That sounds awesome as shit. He says on the 8th next month they're imploding the Tropicana. What? That's
Where's the
dope.
Tropicana?
That's like near the strip, like right like a block off the strip, isn't it?
I don't know.
A drone show. Oh, dude. That sounds
Tropicana
fun.
Casino.
I also would just like to see a massive building get
It's
imploded.
on the strip. Honestly, I don't spend much
I
time
haven't
on the
seen that
strip.
in a
I go
long
to Old
time.
Vegas. Old Vegas, if you don't have a lot of money, is where you should be. Old Vegas, everything's cheaper. You can do like 25-cent hands, and like I don't know. I like
Yeah. You
Old
know, the
Vegas.
fucking last time I saw a building implosion was like the Hudson Tower in Detroit in like the 90s. That was a shitstorm too. It fell onto like the monorail.
I think I saw like the Kingdom in Seattle, or not the Kingdom, the Tacoma Kingdom, I think.
Vegas, yeah, old Vegas is getting expensive. The answer
Is
says,
it?
"Uh
Let's
oh."
see. We're a little off the rails, but let's see. I used to always go to the El Cortez. That was my fucking.
I
This
heard
was
that like
my.
Circus is like the shittiest like on the strip place, which I don't know. I thought their like circus theme was kind of fun.
I don't like circus. Honestly, old Vegas is so much like you have to walk so far. Like I didn't realize how far everything was on the strip. Like to get from one casino to the next, it's like a 20-minute walk. That shit sucks. You go to like Fremont, Vegas. Like let's see if we can just pull this up.
Ooh,
It's
Designer
like
Con in Vegas. That could be fun too.
like so here's the Fremont Casino, literally spitting distance to the Four Queens, and on the other side I think it's like the Golden
Oh, you
Nugget.
got to share. I think you're sharing the wrong screen.
Oh, wait, what am I on?
I see a mirror. Infinity.
Oh, it's on. That's why.
Let's see.
Yeah, like all the casinos.
Yeah, here we go.
Like this is one corner, this is one corner, and then there's a street this guy's standing on. On the other side of that corner, there's two more casinos. So it's just like I don't know, everything's so close together. And then they have stages at the end of each one of these hallways. There's a stage, and they have live music, free live music on 3 different stages. They just take turns playing live music. They have like the laser light show things, like the LED light shows happen on that ceiling, and those happen like every hour.
It's way more. It's way more Neon City than the regular strip.
It's just like so much free entertainment. Like you can go see multiple bands, DJs. You can see the light shows, and then like I think it's the D. It's called has it's the only casino in Las Vegas where you can actually gamble with quarters. Like every other casino is all digital. But they have like the upstairs of the D. They have like a quarter buckets. You can like put in money and then just spit quarters into a bucket and then use actual quarters to gamble on stuff.
I do like that tactile feedback of like stuff falling into your hand and lap and stuff.
Yeah, that was like.
It's way less satisfying when it just prints out the little slip and is like, "Here's your winnings."
Like this is a pretty busy night. But like here's one of the stages they have. Wait, why the fuck is that picture not here? The Fremont Experience stage, and there's Binions.
Zip line across the.
Yeah, there's multiple blocks, so it's like multiple blocks, and each one has like 4 casinos on each corner. So it's like you get like 8 casinos within like a 3-block radius, whereas like the strip, you're gonna be walking like miles if you're trying to get from casino to casino.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize until like we stayed at Caesars, like let's go walk over to fucking the Venetian, and that shit. Like I was exhausted afterwards. You have to walk so much. There's also
and it's hot as fuck during the day.
There's
and during the night.
There's also a White Castle on one of these corners.
Ooh, I love that.
But let's see how much. Let's see. El Cortez is usually where I'd say. I would always say it's cheaper if you like stay on the shitty floors. I'd always stay on like the first floor, and you could hear the casino making noises all fucking night. It's horrible, but I'd always just get so wrecked that I would be able to sleep through it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really give a shit. I can sleep pretty. Like I'm not a light sleeper.
I'm a light sleeper, but the amount of alcohol I'd consume in Vegas would make me pass out there or anything. Let's see. Rooms. Let's see how much it. It used to literally be like $20-$30 a night, but it's been like probably 5 years since inflation shit is probably more expensive now.
Let's see. So probably like 50 a night now, huh?
Okay, yeah, it's way more expensive now. 71. See if you can find an off time.
Boo.
It's like $70 a night is the cheapest you're gonna get. That's like triple the price of what I was paying.
I remember, yeah, I would go, like, I stayed near, like, the strip last time, and it was, like, $22, including, like, resort fees, and it came with a free 32-liter, like a half growler of beer, and, like, a coupon that would look like an ace that was, like, your first card, playing it when you played blackjack in their casino, they'll deal you that coupon as your first card, and it just represents having an ace, so it's, like, a guaranteed get dealt an ace.
Yeah, here we go. I don't know what the fuck is going on with.
All for $23.
You might be able to find cheaper shit through here, like $18 a night through.
There you go. That's more what I'm looking for. But then you got to watch out because they'll have like resort fees that like cost a fucking fortune.
I wonder if you can do like old Vegas though. Yeah, I want. Is it called downtown?
Strip, Vegas Strip.
It is getting more expensive, but
67's not terrible. What's that? Which one's that? The D.
The D. I like the D. That's the one with the quarter
59?
betting. I think the Golden Nugget is actually sickest. The Golden Nugget, like if you're going to be, how much the gold cost with it? Yeah, here we go. 74. I feel like it's worth paying the extra.
Yeah.
$5. The Gold Nugget has a
Do they have that water slide?
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like, if you're trying to do
Yeah.
anything besides gamble and shit. Also, all this shit's so close that like, if you want to go gamble at the D, it's across the street from the Golden Nugget, so it's not like you need to stay at the place you're
Yeah.
gambling at.
I'll pay the $10 more to like
Amenities.
water slide around.
The pools. Yeah, they have a fucking like. They've got a pool that goes through like a Shark Tank. You go through like a slide. It's an open slide. I always thought that was super sick.
See, that's dope. That's worth it.
All right, let's land the plane of this stream. We got way off topic. I don't know. $20 a night is so much cheaper than 60, but I do feel like being able to stay in old downtown. Like, you don't want to be trying to get to an off-strip hotel in the middle of the night.
I gotta break away. I forgot how fucking time it is here. We got
All right, we're gonna raid into Mahala. But thanks for joining, everybody.
That's good enough timing, though.
We're going to stream again tomorrow if you want to hang out.
Yeah, we'll get more into this off the rails kind of shit anyway. God, fucking mosquito bite.
I don't know why our Discord is not showing up.
I gotta go put on some shoes. But thanks for joining us today, guys.
Yeah, later, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace out.
Later.